Look at me, I'm the king of New York. Oh, I see. Last time, this is the one. Stay down here. I'm gonna stay down here. Welcome to I Want to Be Like You. So, it's funny because if you're listening on audio only, you didn't understand that joke. What are you doing, man? You gotta watch the pod to get these bits, to get this gold. Why did I sing King of New York? I'd done that before. It's the sequel. We have our second Newsie on today. Now, if you watched our episode with Tommy Bracco, you know that he was a Newsie. And now we have Jess LeProtto on today. Okay? Jess LeProtto, the face of Newsies in certain respects, which is why I was doing that jump. Did you see the parallel? So, here's the thing about Jess LeProtto. Jess LeProtto has so many Broadway shows under his belt that I can't count it on my fingers how many, okay? Because he has done, let me just riff off some. I just mentioned Newsies, The Boy from Oz, Bye Bye Birdie, yes, the Stamos one with Jim Walton as well. Hello Dolly with Bette Midler, Carousel. He was most recently in A Beautiful Noise. I mean, the list goes on, and we got to talking about it all. We talked about so much. We even talked, for those niche fans, about So You Think You Can Dance. I mean, his career is remarkable. It's remarkable. And we even talked about some of the workshops that he's working on, like Schmigadoon, alongside former guest and friend of the podcast, Brad Oscar. I mean, it is, I keep saying it, but it's absolutely remarkable. He is, I think, one of the best dancers I've ever seen in my life. And there's a really special Newsies story. I mean, there's plenty of Newsies stories in there, but there's a really special Newsies story that I wanted to ask Tommy to tell when he came on our pod that I didn't get the chance to, that Jess gets to tell in this episode. So you'll love this episode. He is a joy. He was a joy to have on. We feel so lucky to have had him on and to have this time that he gave us so much time. And I think just before I go to the episode, I think we can all agree that jump was just as good as Jess's. All right. Today, I want to be like Jess LeProtto. I want to be like you. 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 Welcome to another episode of I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes. Today, I want to be like Jess LeProtto.
Wow.
Did I say that right? It's Jess LeProtto. Okay, good. I should have checked with you beforehand, but hey. Okay, so here's what's funny, and I've never, I don't think I told you this. We met when I wonder if I have a picture of it, when I was a freshman in college, because I talked to you about Brie,
yes,
who we both know, Brianna Cielo. Our lovely Brianna Cielo, and we were freshmen. We were like 2 weeks into college, and we went to go see Hello Dolly.
Oh yes,
and
yes, I remember this. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I think even Brie texted me or something that she was coming to the. No, or actually no, I just saw her at the stage door at the Schubert Theater.
Yes, and we went.
And it was
to
a
go
lot
see
of her
Dolly.
schoolmates.
It was like you were barraged with people. I mean, it was like 10 of us or whatever, and we're all freshmen, and we're all giddy, and we're like, oh my god,
you were so sweet. I remember that. I was just like, oh yeah. Oh yes, because she had just graduated the year before.
Yes,
and she was just starting.
She just graduated high school. Yeah, and we were going to Wagner together.
Small
and
world.
And Donna Murphy was on that night.
Yes,
it was like we did a big group event.
Yeah, that must have been like a
Tuesday
Tuesday night.
Money.
Yeah, that made sense.
We didn't even know about rush tickets. I mean, it was like one of those. And it's funny too. There's this very cherished video, especially now, that when we met Gavin Creel that night, he took I think it was Bree's phone. He took Bree's phone. Was like, hold on, I'm gonna take a video for you. Then goes into the corner of like the nook and takes a special video for us and told us, he was like, hey, you guys are going into college. Don't mess this up.
That sounds just like Gavin.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
I love
a very
it.
sweet video. So so we've met since we've known since you know, Hello Dolly. Crazy.
That's right. I remember that moment. I was like, oh yeah, that was perfect.
Right. That was me. So we start the podcast with the same first question every time, and it is, who was your I want to be like you when you were a kid?
Well, foundation-wise, it was Gene Kelly. That was the foundation of everything.
Yeah.
Because
you're the second person to say that.
Really?
Yeah, Leroy Ream said that as well.
Okay, yeah. Because I grew up as a dancer, dancer by trade. That was my very first form of training, was dance.
Right.
My sister, who's 3 years older than me, very much like Mike from A Chorus Line, to where I caught the bug from her. Yeah. She was taking dance classes. My dad or my mom would drive me. I would just tag along with them, and see her dance. Sometimes if the door was closed, there would be a crack in the space in the bottom of the door. I would just kind of get on my belly and look at what was going on.
Aww.
Yeah, it was one of those times. But
really sweet.
But they were like, let's give it a go. And then once I got into the flow of dance, and just taking basic classes, and then I got into more advanced classes. And then when I was still fairly young, I was like 7 or 8, I started competitive dance training. So that would be doing like regional competitions and then national competitions with my dance team.
So how old were you when you started dancing?
3.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. But it was during those formative years when I was like 8, 9, 10, to where I was really first introduced to more movie musicals, because everything else was more, just standalone songs or standards and stuff, or just the repertoire that competition dance teams or, whatever it is, that kind of just had like the trivia of songs and stuff.
Right.
But it was more the movie musicals, like Sing in the Rain. Yeah. And then it led me to West Side Story and all, more and more going down that rabbit hole, I suppose. Yeah. But it was Gene Kelly that really kind of started it off, and then I was hooked. And I watched, because a lot of things that I watched, as we all did, because we had VHSs, I would just watch things on repeat. I would finish a movie, I would stop it, I would rewind all the way to the beginning, watch the coming attractions, and then go back and watch the whole movie again.
That's so funny.
I even had the coming attractions down, memorized by heart.
Yeah, right.
But it was Gene Kelly that was really just introduced me to everything.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So with you're from Jersey. Mm-hmm. Where in Jersey are you from again?
Little Falls, New
Jersey. So were you coming into the city a lot? Did you see a lot of Broadway shows?
Yeah. Well,
what was your first Broadway show?
The Lion King.
Oh, that's sweet. How old were you?
The perfect introduction. I must have been like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But I was still very young, so my attention span was very short. Yeah. So the second act, I was probably a goner. I was probably napping underneath the seat or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was hooked. I mean, because to be exposed to live theater at such a young age, obviously I encourage any parents out there, if they have access to theater, be it local, regional, Broadway, whatever. Bring your kids. If you know kids that just need a place to explore, theater is the perfect vehicle for that. So that was really my first introduction to kind of being part of that atmosphere.
Right.
In that beautiful, because at the time it was the New Amsterdam Theater that Lion King was.
Oh, right.
So it was that historic theater with that show, and even just. Although I fell asleep because I was very young, the opening sequence with the Circle of Life was,
iconic. Yeah, it's unforgettable. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about when you pivoted into the competitive dance world. How did that shift your idea of theater in terms of like because I imagine you did competitive dance till you were like in high school and beyond high school, right?
Yeah, I did competitive dance from age 7 to 18, so through elementary, middle school, and high school. Yeah. Right. So I was doing that, because with that, it's a kind of like a fragmented schedule. Like you have a lot of choreography in the late summer, and then through the fall, and then you start regionals like in the winter through to the spring, and then you have nationals. So everything's kind of like, blocks here and there. Right. Then you also have like recitals and stuff too. Yeah. But what was great about, if anything, aside from just the theatrical standpoint, it was the live standpoint. It was the live energy feel that I was always on stage. Right. Be it if it was a solo, a duet, a small group, a large group, production number. Yeah. Any genre, any piece of music and stuff too. I was blessed with a great, collection of teachers who really just taught me everything and anything as far as basics and foundation and technique and then style, and then from that point they really kind of gave me the foundation to where I could kind of step out of the dance studio world and kind of venture on into more convention stuff too. So I was being introduced to more convention teachers who had their had a whole different, form of information and stuff too.
Right.
Then I got into more master classes and stuff too. I remember I took Andy Blankenbuehler's class when I was in high school. It was like it was like a 2-day master class. So he had like a bunch of different combinations. Some was show repertoire that he did himself. Some of it was just like stuff that he created just for combos. Right. But it really introduced me to more music and different music styles too. Yeah. And then I had a great teacher, and he's an Emmy Award-winning choreographer, Al Blackstone, who's also based from New Jersey. And he and I really connected to where when I was in high school, I started having a lot of solos choreographed by Al from my competition season. Wow. And it really kind of gave me like real like definitive voice that I felt like I was really kind of coming into my own at that time. That I was really even though I'd already had professional credits as an actor, as a child performer.
Well, so that's what I was going to ask you about. Is that when did you decide? And talk to me about how this worked with your parents, because you were a child actor. I didn't realize that until we were doing prep work for this. And so you were. When did you decide that you were going to do this professionally?
Well, it just happened on its own, I suppose, because I already was a natural. I was already kind of like, I just loved being on stage,
right?
And I never really had any worry about being on stage,
right?
And just as a dancer alone. I mean, in the beginning, obviously, yes, I was still very young. Like, if you go back and watch my first recital, I was in a cowboy costume, and I was, I wasn't even dancing. I was just waving at people, like, right. Family and stuff. Then there's, like, a famous picture that I probably have posted on Instagram where it's, like, my sister and I at our recital, like, photo shoot, and I'm there crying, and my eyes are, like, swollen because I'm just, like, crying. Right. And I try to open my eyes because they're just trying to get me to, look at the camera. But I was already kind of, getting more comfortable on stage, and then just as a dancer, and then growing up in Jersey, there was a lot of access to different local teaching and right. education. So I was recommended to just, try voice lessons. I suppose. Yeah. Right. So it's around like age 6 or so that I started taking local voice lessons in New Jersey, and then a couple years after that, I got a little bit. My parents were like, "Let's just try some stuff in the city." But then slowly, as we were learning the curve, as we were really just kind of learning the business at that time, it was like, really at the very, very beginning, where I was just going in for different voice lessons. I wasn't going in for different dance classes in the city. That was mostly still back in Jersey at my local dance studio, dancers only.
Yeah.
But I was going in for auditions at that time too. So I was really kind of like a fish out of water. I was not a child performer perfected by any means necessary.
Sure.
But I was going in for anything and everything, be it was like voice commercials, radio commercials, regular commercials on TV, regional productions and stuff too. I remember when I was 8 years old, I went in for a tour of Beauty and the Beast as Chip, but I was very young, and I was offered a spot to play Chip, but I was very young, and to be away from home for a year as a young child performer at that age, I think would have been too much on a child.
Yeah. So talk to me about The Boy from Oz. How did that come about?
Well, I also grew up with a bunch of child performers as well.
Okay.
One of my dear friends who I grew up with, Heather Teepee, we went to the same. We grew up in the same town. Went to the same dance studio. We were dance partners. Went to the same school, middle school, high school.
Wow.
We did. I think we did 2 shows together. Yeah, we did How the Grinch Stole Christmas. That was a show after Boy from Oz. We did those 2 seasons back to back.
Wow.
So at the time, she was going in for a lot of different Broadway shows, and she actually played the role of Baby Jude in Bernadette Peters' revival of Gypsy.
Wow, look at that. With Dossett.
Yes, with Dossett.
Was Herbie.
With John Dossett. And at that time, I was also just kind of, breaking in. My parents were breaking into the business, and then we had an agent at the time, and Boy from Oz was obviously coming up with casting notices and stuff too. And I think my parents were like, "Oh, is there a chance that Jess could be seen for The Boy from Oz?" And at the time, the agent that we had said, "Well, no, because at the moment they're only really looking for young boys who are blonde hair." So I never went in for the role. Cut to, I'm watching the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. This is 2003.
Yeah.
And The Boy from Oz is appearing on the telecast, and they're going to perform When I Get My Name in Lights, which is young Peter Allen's big show-stopping number in the beginning of the first act. And it was Mitchell David Federer, who was a fantastic performer, young child performer at the time, but who was a redhead.
So come on now.
So at that point, we parted ways with our agency. and then I was with Nancy Carson for 10 years, who was a fantastic children's agent, who's just an amazing person and who took great care of me growing up. And then she brought me in because at the time they were looking for vacation understudies for the role of young Peter Allen. So I got to go in at that point, which was kind of perfect because it kind of dipped my foot into the Broadway community, just not by trial by fire, just starting with like a full long-term commitment. It was like a couple weeks at a time. I came in for 2 weeks because it was Mitchell David Federer and PJ Verhulst was his understudy, offstage understudy. So they each had vacation weeks approved, so I would just be a standby, ready to go on. Cool. So I went in one time for 2 weeks.
How old were you?
I was 11.
Wow. Making your Broadway debut.
Yeah, it was cool.
And Hugh Jackman was
Hugh Jackman was great. And because I went in twice, I was there for a stint for 2 weeks in February, and then it was like a stint for like another 2 weeks or so in August. And I got to go on during that second stint, which was perfect. And then the best part about it was I made my Broadway debut, my on-stage Broadway debut in the show. And the coolest thing, and this is a credit to any headliner of any Broadway show, be it if it's Hugh Jackman, John Stamos, Bette Midler, Jesse Mueller, Renee Fleming, the list goes on and on and on. Betty Buckley, I've worked with a lot of great people. But one thing that was so memorable, the most memorable experience of the entire thing was that aside from having 40 people who were family and friends of mine in the audience, at the end of the show, everything is as planned. We do the curtain call, curtain comes down, and that would just be the end. But Hugh Jackman gestured over to the stagehand who was operating the front curtain and just, told him to hoist it back up one more time. And then he just let this little 11-year-old step forward and take the final bow.
Oh, that's so cool.
I mean, and I've seen it done a bunch of times, and it's such a credit to just these amazing people who really are, the leaders of these casts and companies of all these shows, and they set such a great example for everyone else to follow. And it's just the generosity, the hospitality. I mean, Hugh Jackman was
known to be. We actually just saw him in his play off Broadway this week.
Oh
he was great. He was fantastic.
He was amazing. I still have a picture of us backstage before the second act. It was cool.
That's awesome.
Good
That's
times.
so cool. So tell me about how you got your first agent when you were a kid. How did that come about?
It was probably through audition process, and it was just kind of listings and stuff too.
Yeah.
But it was also just by word of mouth because myself and my parents were like other parents, and just learning it on the spot, just just learning it on the go.
Right.
And it was myself. I had a bunch of other friends and peers who were also in the profession too, very early on.
Right.
Some who are still continuing on to this day. So it's amazing to see their careers just kind of,
When you went to high school, so how long were you in Boy from Osborne?
Well, the show ran for a year, and I did two separate, times at the show.
Okay, so you probably exited when you were around 11, 12 still, right? And so then you went back to school, or were you still auditioning? You did, okay.
Well, I did it all because, when I wasn't working, because there was a program, On Location Education, I believe is the name of it. Oh. That was a tutoring program for any child performers who were working on Broadway at the time. I think they also kind of, had a big reach, elsewhere aside from Broadway, as far as their program. But they had teachers on staff that were tutors who were on location with us in case we were backstage, dressing rooms and stuff too. So if I wasn't at school, I was being tutored,
that's awesome.
On location, it was cool. But I was going to school at times if I wasn't working, and this was leading up to all through high school too, because I did 2 seasons back to back of How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and I was in 8th grade, and I was in freshman year in high school. So obviously it was just a fall.
With 2 different directors, is that right?
No, it was the same director. It was Matt August.
Okay.
But Jack O'Brien conceived it because the show was conceived at the Old Globe in San Diego.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But because it was a holiday show, it wasn't a year-long commitment.
Right.
So I knew that if any case, tutors would be at hand to
what
go
theaters
through.
Were they at?
The first season was the Hilton, now known as the Lyric.
Okay.
And then the second one was the St. James.
Oh, wow.
But second season...
That's a difference.
It's a big difference. Well, I mean, I have to say, like, the Hilton is ginormous. Well, it's a Lyric theater now. It's humongous. At the time, it was humongous. I haven't been in the theater since Harry Potter has been in there.
Yeah.
but it's still a huge barn. It's huge.
Yeah.
But the St. James is like deceivingly big too.
Yeah.
Because you don't realize like it's steep and it has like a little bit of depth too.
And it caves.
Yeah. But that second season was very interesting because it felt like it went in the blink of an eye because unfortunately we were in the midst of the stagehand strike.
Oh.
So that cut 2 weeks out of our run during the holiday season.
What?
It was very crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But we were the first show to reopen after I think negotiations were being settled. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. So how old were you when you did the second round of Grinch?
I was a freshman in high school.
Oh wow,
freshman
cool.
in high school.
Yeah.
But it was it was a little bit of a stretch because between 8th grade and freshman year, somehow or other, I miraculously didn't look as childish as I did in the first year. So they were like, "Well, I mean, you kind of how oddly enough have outgrown all the other kids." I'm like, I'm still very small.
You're 14.
I'm a man of small stature. But
no, you're 14 now. You're fired.
But
you're fired. You're fired at 14.
But they were like, okay, so we love you. We would love to have you on the show. But obviously, if being on stage you would be a giant next to all these kids. I'm like, I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, right.
But they were like, can you be a swing? I'm like, absolutely. So I learned 5 tracks.
As a kid.
It's
okay. See, that's crazy. I mean, talk about you didn't even need schooling at that point. I mean, you're like doing.
But
so much education.
But I had the leg up about the show because I did the show the season before,
Yeah,
so
right.
I knew obviously the tricks of the trade when it came to that show.
Right.
But
right.
But it was a trip. That was my first really swinging experience aside from Boy from Oz, which I was just a vacation understudy, just focusing on one track.
How did you go about swinging as a kid, and what do you think? I mean, like, what do you think you do differently now?
Well, you have a lot of help along the way because there were dance captains on hand too. Stage management is always there to help too. But you also have, because one thing about swinging is that every swing has their certain method as to how they retain the information and how they prepare the information before they have to go on.
Yeah. What was your method as a freshman in high school?
Well, I mean, because this was before really iPads were a thing.
Sure.
So where you had
sketching,
and you just had sketch paper, just kind of like create tracks and stuff too. I think there was access to different floor plans and deck plans and stuff too to kind of use as a reference to kind of it was like cartoon animation in some case.
Oh my gosh.
But I know that because I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I know that a lot of swings at the time who were much older than me probably had much more wherewithal as to how to go about making sure that swinging was that they were ready to go on at anyone.
Yeah. Were you one of those index cards? Did you have the index cards?
I think I did have index cards.
The Post-it notes.
No, but I did. I definitely had notebook paper, but it was like. It's like the notebook paper that has all the small squares.
Oh, sure. I
think I had that one.
Yeah, like a grid.
Yes.
Like a grid.
And I got to go on. I went on one time.
Yeah.
It was like a 2-show day. It was for Andy Richardson. Who was also a newsie with me. I went on for him.
So how would you say how was it for you as a 14-year-old swinging? Was it stressful? Because to me right now, as an adult, that I've never swung, and it sounds like the most. I always talk about this when we have swings on.
Honestly, I didn't know. I didn't know anything. I was just like, I was just a dumb kid. but I just kind of learned. I just went with the flow in those cases too. Because here's the other thing too. Because you have to imagine this. We had 2 casts of kids, 12 in each cast, 24 kids total.
Right.
And most of the time they were on. And if they were feeling sick, their parents, I'll say, encouraged them to be like, make sure you go on. So there was never really an outage of swings or whatnot, or people calling out.
Or split trucking. Or
I
anything
don't think
like that.
so.
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
Especially if not for a holiday show.
Yeah. How do you think that it set you up for swinging as an adult? Because I imagine now you're much more regimented. You have a system if you were to swing.
Right. Well, I have not been in the position as an adult of swinging, but I have. But I have been in the position of a dance captain.
Yeah.
As an onstage dance captain, which is a whole different thing, but nonetheless, for the last Broadway show I was in, it was the Neil Diamond musical, Beautiful Noise, and I was an onstage track dance captain. Robert Pindia was a swing and dance captain. We were co-dance captains together.
Oh.
So when I was on stage, it's a tricky thing to kind of just kind of get an overlook on
oversee everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But Robert was my my saving grace because he was always off stage. Sometimes we had an actual monitor in the dressing room too. So we had all eyes on deck in any case, for things just to kind of look out for.
Yeah.
And he would communicate with me. I would communicate with him because sometimes I would see things like up close and personal.
Right.
Too. So.
Right.
But that communication and also that communication with us, along with the swings that we had, the fantastic swings that we had that came through those doors at the Broadhurst were amazing. I mean, and they were learning because I think there were quite a few this was their first. Not only was it their Broadway debut, but it was their first time swinging. So it was exciting for them too. But we wanted to make sure that they were rest assured that everything was going to be safe and everything was going to be good, and that we made sure that they were going to be as informed as possible before going on, because it was only 5 and 5. It was 5 female tracks, 5 male tracks.
Oh, I see. Oh, I didn't realize that. Yeah, interesting. So then your next Broadway show is Bye Bye Birdie.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I mean, how cool is that? That is so it's like that show was one of the first shows I remember seeing as a kid at the Thanksgiving Day Parade, where I was like, wait a minute, Uncle Jesse is doing Bye Bye Birdie. Like I was like and I knew it very vaguely, but it was just such a, I don't know, and it's the only revival of Bye Bye Birdie.
It is the only revival to this day, yeah.
And so talk to me about that revival of Bye Bye. We should also say, and I'm not sure if you know this. Oh, it was less than an hour ago that the news just came in that Charles Strauss just passed away.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, and so it feels even more.
God bless him. 96.
96.
I'll sign that contract today.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is he was on my list. I had him on to come on the pod. Like
Did you really?
Yeah. Well, he was one of the people I was reaching out to. Like I had his contact. It was
love
crazy.
that.
Yeah. So crazy. So when I saw that news,
and I saw him about a year ago. I never had a rapport with him, but I saw him at Pearl Studios, the studios in Midtown here, and they were casting. I think it's currently still touring. Oh no, yeah, it's the touring production of Annie that was at Madison Square Garden.
Right.
But they were auditioning at the the and
he was there.
He was there.
Wow.
He was there. So like 95 or so.
Wow. Amazing.
Was
he a part of this? Was there?
Oh, very much so. Yeah. He and Lee Adams, who was a lyricist too, because they were both alive at the time, were fantastic, and it was great. But getting casted, for what I understood, because I talked to David Chase, who was the music supervisor of the show too, and he had a different story about this. But I was left under the impression that I didn't book the show initially. I was a second casting choice because I think maybe from what I heard, someone else had turned down the offer. Yeah. So when I found out that I was being offered to do the show, I was in the chair at the orthodontist.
What?
I was getting my braces tightened up.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
What?
I know.
So how did you talk to me about the audition for Birdie?
It was fun. We did.
You didn't audition. You were just an orthodontist, and you got a call.
That's it. No, it was fun. We had a great time. And it was a lot of people who I knew, and people who I didn't know, who I would later, get to work with, and who I'm still close with.
Did you know the show beforehand?
Yeah. Well, I grew up with that film too.
Right.
And like when you really think about it, it was like Sing in the Rain, West Side Story, 42nd Street, Bye Bye Birdie. The list goes on, but those prominently so. But I think we sang our own songs, and then I didn't remember this. David Chase reminded me of this, that I sang Bobby Darin's Beyond the Sea.
Look at that! Wow,
crazy.
Yeah.
But I sang, and I don't know why I decided to wear this. Maybe I thought it was a good luck charm. I had like a Cat in the Hat shirt on that had the saying "I do a lot of tricks." I don't know why. I was like, I'm a dancer, and I
do a lot of tricks.
Yeah. Yeah, slogan.
One of them, boom, Beyond the Sea.
But I heard from my agents that I did not get an offer, that I was not being casted in the show, and obviously that was a huge letdown.
Yeah.
But then when I found out that I was very excited. It was a huge, turning point.
What made them change their mind?
I don't know, but David Chase told me that I was always casted in the show.
Wow.
Unless there's some, discrepancy. I don't know.
So how long after you heard that you weren't cast did you find out that you were?
Maybe like a few weeks or so.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And so who did you play in that show?
I was in the teenage ensemble.
Yeah.
Going
steady.
Going steady. I think because, it was the Merkel family, because Bryn Williams played Ursula. Kim McAfee's best friend.
Yeah.
So it was Ursula Merkel, I think.
Yeah,
was the character's name?
Right. Yeah.
So my character's name was Freddie Merkel.
Oh. Did you give that to yourself, or was that already there?
I don't know.
I've never
it
heard
might
of
have been
Freddie
given
Merkel,
to us.
I'm pretty sure I was Fred.
Were you Freddie?
A long time.
So we've done Birdie. I mean, between our entire family collectively 3 times. I've done 2 productions.
I mean, it's
You've
a great
done 2
show.
productions. My sister's done 1 production.
Okay.
So we and I've choreographed 1 production. So it's a half choreographed.
So you know the show very well.
Know the show pretty well. But I honestly clearly not that well because I didn't know about Freddie Merkel.
Yeah.
I overlooked your part.
Well, that must have been given to us because our director choreographer Bobby Longbottom. We were all, and the cool thing about it was that it was Greg Barnes who did the costume design, who I love, and he had all the families color coordinated, so we were green. It was amazing. It was so much fun, and the cast was great because it was John Stamos, Gina Gershon, Bill Irwin, Dee Hoty.
Oh my gosh.
Nolan Gerard Funk, who was a big Nickelodeon star. He was like Nickelodeon Zac Efron.
Oh.
It was a competing market.
I probably know his face. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yes. But, and it was Allie Trim as Kim McAfee.
So we actually just had Jim Walton on.
Yeah.
Who was in the adult ensemble of
that adult ensemble was amazing.
Yeah.
It was Jim Walton, John Tracy Egan, J.C. Montgomery.
Wow.
And like the list goes on. Paul Leggett-Chase, Colleen Fitzpatrick, Suzanne Gardner was my mother.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
It was great.
So, no, but we talked a little bit about the Justin Bieberism of it all, right? Because that was
at the height.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of the theme of that production in a sense, right?
Yes.
Was that Conrad was kind of taking that role of Justin Bieber.
Yes.
But it's funny because that show, I feel like, lives in a world where it's a little hard to take that show out of the context of which it lives in because the music is so particular to the 60s, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and they were trying to find ways to reinvent it, but also be, traditional about it too, because it is a very beloved show.
Yeah.
And they tried very hard, but one thing about it was that it was produced by Roundabout, so it was already a limited run. But I think they had high hopes to maybe possibly extend it.
Yeah.
But then I'll never forget this because I was a junior in high school at the time, and we had our opening night because it was a fall season premiere for us, and we had our opening night party. I think it was at what was it at? Was that the Hard Rock Cafe? It might have been. But then afterwards, I went home, and because my folks came to the opening night, and we went to the party together, and then we drove back home, and we had a desktop computer at the time, and we wanted to look at the review.
Of course.
So it was Ben Brantley who was the theater critic for the Times.
For the New York Times.
And I'm gonna paraphrase here, but he said something to the effect of, please send some get well cards to the cast at the Henry Miller Theater. No, it is not a case of the swine flu. It is a case of the following: tin ear, loss of comic timing, and the ability to make the audience think to themselves, where am I and what am I doing?
Oh, good.
And because it was, to me, because it was so, he was such a wordsmith, I suppose. I don't know. I don't read
still
him
so
often.
scathing, right?
But I didn't know. I couldn't make 2 cents about it. I was just kind of like, what does this mean?
Right.
I was like the New York Times, elaborate linguistic jargon. I was just kind of like, what does any of this mean?
Yeah, right. Did you understand that?
It went way over my head.
Okay.
I was like, is this a good review or a bad review?
When you're 16.
Yeah. I was just like, I don't know. And that was the first time because up until that point, I was, because I didn't have my driver's license, so I was always, being driven, whether it was carpooling with other kids and their parents, or my dad, having all the kids in his car going back and forth between the city and New Jersey. But then it was that time he was like, all right, you're taking the bus. So I took the bus. That was my first time taking the bus. I still take the bus.
You know what? Now that the show got bad reviews, you're on the bus.
No, but it was great because I had gotten my license. I was able to drive to the bus stop, and
fancy.
I was really maturing. I was really adulting.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess talk a little bit about because you've done so many shows at this point. Some reviewed positively, some reviewed negatively. Whatever. Yeah. It happens. But talk to me a little bit about the rapport amongst cast and. I guess especially after those reviews come in, because sometimes it can happen. We've been to opening night parties where the reviews will be great and oh my gosh, the party pops off. Yeah. And then we've been to somewhere it's not the case and everyone's out of there in a half hour, and it's disheartening because the reviews, even if they don't, these days who knows how much they mean in certain respects. Right. But they still are, they still hurt, Yeah,
when you're a kid, obviously there are a lot of adults who are a part of the show who are there to protect, their emotions and their feelings. So like I didn't really know about any reviews until after the fact. So that night when those reviews are so like instant, like they're right away and they're fresh.
Right.
I don't really think that I was privy to any of that information right away. It was
even fresher now because you just pick up your phone. And
right. Well, yeah. But nowadays, I tend if people who are willing to who want to look at the reviews, I think there's always a common courtesy in the building for any Broadway show. Not everyone has the same mindset to kind of communicate or converse about that information, be it if it's good or bad, because you spent months and months on end developing, making something out of nothing, basically.
Right.
So all that work and to have someone's opinion, and obviously art is subjective, but in the case to where, any of that negative energy, be it to people who are only observing it from the outside looking in, and it's just like, yes, all right, fine, that's your opinion, that's okay. But that's not gonna, dilute or denigrate any of us and make us feel that we're lesser than. We still have a job to do.
Right.
People are paying hard or spending a lot of money on tickets to see shows and the best products possible. So you can't really let any of those emotions get the best of you in that case. Be it if you're a kid or an adult.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so the next thing you go to do is So You Think You Can Dance. And yes. I didn't even know you were on So You Think You Can Dance just, but I want to mention this because this is just worth saying, and I'm going to embarrass you for a second because I just want to say that you are such a fabulous dancer. I mean, it is really like through and through because I know you from Newsies, I know you from Dolly, I saw you in Dolly and Carousel and Beautiful Noise. And all of the videos of Schmigadoon lately, and I know you from all this stuff. I've been in dance clubs that you've led, but to see you as a kid, or even if though you were, I was
a brand new adult,
right? A young adult, brand new adult. It's still it was fascinating to watch. I watched all the videos on YouTube, and I was just so taken.
You really went down that rabbit hole.
No, I did, and you were. You're really one of the best dancers I think I've ever seen. It's
that's very kind
phenomenal.
Of you. Thank you.
It's and so I want to talk to you about So You Think You Can Dance because I'm watching it and you go and you do this audition. Your audition is fantastic. It really is. It's fantastic.
But there's a story behind the audition that most people don't know.
Okay.
So those auditions that you see on TV back in the day, that was really like the
fifth audition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there are many steps prior to.
Right.
The very first one is an improvisational round. The very first one. Oh. So you go into a big like ballroom, whatever it is, and you can kind of categorize yourself into like a contemporary group, a hip hop group, a jazz group. So I was going in as a musical theater Broadway, categorized dancer, if you will, because I was inspired by Evan Kasperzak, who was on season 5 of So You Think You Could Dance, and he was up until that point the only Broadway dancer. They called them quote unquote Broadway dancers, and I was like, you know what? He is setting the tide. He is really just changing it big time. I was like, if he can go on that show, he's opening the door for a lot of other people to be in that same threshold in that same category. Right. So I give all props to Evan Kasperzak. He really led the way. So he was a huge inspiration to me.
Wow.
To see that on TV, I'm like, oh man, if he can do it, I know that he has just opened the door for so many people.
And so was that the inspiration for you to go in and audition?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Wow. But then that round was very interesting because I was dressed up. Al Blackstone had choreographed a solo for me when I was in high school to Mac the Knife, and I was in like a tank top with dress pants and suspenders and fingerless gloves. Try to picture that.
Setting the tone.
So we were doing improv, and I was just kind of dancing around, just kind of doing my thing. I forgot even what number. It might have been like a Gloria Estefan number to like turn the beat around or something like that. It was very interesting, but it was just improv. You would just go in. And then because you had numbers on, it was like, okay, dancer 3, come in. Dancer 3, thank you. Dancer 4, come. And you would have 30 seconds to improv. That's all you had.
Yeah.
And then they stopped, and then it was our senior producer for the show, Jeff Thacker, and he said, I think I was like dancer 3 or 4. It's like, dancer 3, would you come back out, please? We're just gonna put some music on and just kind of improvise. And I think I danced to like 6 or 7 different styles of music. It was like it was all that jazz. It was like more of a contemporary feel. I think it was a song called "Fear You Won't Fall," like a very acoustic kind of song. Then there was one that was like a Bollywood or African beat of some kind, and then it was like a Lady Gaga, and then it was a So You Think You Could Dance theme, and then Jeff Thacker, because to be awarded a golden ticket, that meant you got to go to the next round.
Okay.
So it would be a golden ticket, and he waved the golden ticket. He was sitting behind a table. He waved the golden ticket, and I slid to him. I was just like adrenaline rush. I was just like sliding to him. I was like, give me that gold ticket. And I was like, yeah. And then he got on the microphone and said, please give that to dancer number 5.
Oh my gosh.
So, and at that point, I had taken my fingerless gloves off. I was really just like letting it all out. Yeah. And then they said, okay, all the dancers back in line, please. And then I was still ticketless. And then he distributed some tickets to other dancers. Still no ticket for me. And he said, okay, thank you very much. And then I went to go pick up my fingerless gloves in the corner of the floor. I was like, okay. I went to go get my backpack, and he said, dancer number 3, seems you have lost your ticket. Would you like another one?
No way. Wait, so was that original ticket meant for you, or was...
No, yes, but this is the thing too with reality competition shows too, that when I was still very impressionable. I was 18 years old,
right? So
I was kind of learning trial by fire as to just how strategic and how things are, not as fluid as it appears to be on TV. You know what I'm saying? That there's a little bit more intention behind different things, and they just want to see how you're mentally really able to kind of muscle through. It's not just a physical show; it's really just a mental show too.
Right.
So I was really learning, and I see a lot of contestants, after my season who were 18 years old too. They were babies, kind of going through the same motions too. So it's a very interesting dynamic to kind of be in that atmosphere, in that environment, and go through the ringer.
It's funny.
Like that.
It feels like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that like Broadway, while you were a part of the business professionally, Broadway, especially when we talk about these reviews, kind of keeps you a little. You don't see the business side of things as much as you do right there in the forefront. With So You Think You Can Dance. Yeah. Right. So yeah, it's so interesting. But you go and you do this audition, and you do the it's Mac the Knife. Another Bobby,
yes,
Bobby Darin. But so you go and you do Mac the Knife, and it's an incredible combo. You said this was the Al Blackstone.
This was the Al Blackstone solo that he choreographed for me.
It was an incredible combo. But so you go and what's the name of the judge? I'm blanking on his name. The veteran who just got I think he just got kicked off.
Oh, Nigel Lithgow.
Yeah. And so
it was Nigel Lithgow, Mary Murphy, and Jason Gilkinson, who's an Australian ballroom choreographer.
Okay, yeah. And so he looks at you and he goes, "What style of dance would you say? Was your?" And you're like, "Musical theater." And he goes, "What is that?" He's like, "What is that?" That's not.
And like he knows too, but he's testing you.
Okay.
And also one thing about a reality competition show is that it's almost an episodic to where they're casting. So the camera's going to reveal a lot that sometimes you don't even realize that's just happening subconsciously, because a camera can pick up things that you don't even have any awareness of sometimes.
Right.
And still being very young, I was just kind of very vulnerable, and just kind of I really felt like I was like a fish out of water, because it was a very isolated environment too. So I was really kind of getting a very intense education as to how television and that particular area operates.
Yeah, it was very interesting, because then they turned like, it's jazz.
And it's just like, it's just jazz.
It's jazz. But that, I just thought that was very funny. You made it to the top 8.
Top
right?
8.
Top 8.
But I gotta say, because obviously the show was, I was extremely grateful for the opportunity, because I watched the show growing up.
Right.
And then to make it the top 20, that was the dream. And then to make it the top 10 was like, wow. I would love to get as far as I can, but I was top 10. Like, at least I know that there is a tour coming up, and I was really, really, really excited for that. And but along the way, during that time, because you always think about, as years go by, what's the lasting thing that comes from an experience like that, and it's really the relationships through great people. Obviously, the contestants who I still have a close connection to with from that season. But I have to say, the one person who really was who was right there, because he was also experiencing this at the same time too. It was his first time choreographing for the show. Was Josh Bergas.
No way.
Because he had just he was just about to start filming because it was announced that he was going to be the choreographer for Smash. So, and this was going to be his debut on So You Can Dance to choreograph. So I was really kind of, we were both getting to know each other really well, but also we were both very nervous at that time too, because as a contestant and as a choreographer, it's a very nerve-wracking kind of environment because it's live TV and it's a fast-paced dance show that you have to learn material very quickly, choreography very quickly. But he was so amazing. And then after I came off tour, he was the first person who cast me in an episode of Smash.
So it's so funny how these things constantly intertwine, and like there's some serendipity involved, and that's so you and Josh go way back.
We go way back to that time. So You Think You Can Dance, 2011.
So you after that you go and do the tour of So You Think You Can Dance.
That's right.
Talk to me about. I mean, you did all these rounds. There was this partnering round with So You Think You Can Dance. I mean, and you also get to do all these different styles. You were just like this, you're so flexible. You're such you're like a piece of like elastic. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, really, you're doing hip hop, you're tapping, you're all of it. You know what I mean?
I mean, I was definitely, I had some experience and I did a little bit of training prior to So You Think You Can Dance when it came to the ballroom, portions of it all. Hip hop obviously was not my strong suit by any means necessary. But I got through somehow, miraculously, by the grace of God.
Oh, it looks great. It looks great. And you do this one, the top 8 combo that you did, that it's it was a partnering combo, but you did this it felt like this contemporary hip hop combo to the song by Rihanna that I'm.
Oh yeah, Take It Out. That was Tabitha Napoleon. Got that.
It was so.
Lauren Gottlieb,
cool.
Who was my partner, and that was All-Star Week too, so it was cool to do some All-Star.
Oh my gosh, it was so cool. But that felt like hip hop, or it felt like this contemporary hip hop.
Yeah, and well, actually, funny enough, I worked because I think the season before was Christopher Scott. His first season was season 7, and so then season 8 was really when he was going to be able to really shine. And he choreographed a duet for me and my partner Clarice Ordaz, and it was Boyce Avenue's rendition of Just the Way You Are, Bruno Mars's song.
Oh, cool.
And that was like the first hip hop routine that I had to do as a duet. So I was very nervous, but it was kind of like the right music with the right, concept and stuff too. So I was relieved.
How much of your combos in relating to theater were story driven like that? How much were you guys thinking about that?
Well, I mean, when it came to that show, it was always about story. Okay. Even if there was more like a standalone, straight down the line, like a jazz, something like that, there was always a story because sometimes style is a story in that case too. There's always something in the foreground that is going to push, the concept. Be it if it's a story, be it if it's a style, it's always going to be the driving force for anything. Right. So if it's not a story per se between characters, it's going to be the style, it's going to be the piece of music, it's going to be choreography, be it if it hits difficulty, level. But yeah, there was always a purpose. There was always a purpose as to what each duet was. But yeah, and the choreographers that I had a great group of choreographers that I got to work with between the duets and the group numbers too. Yeah.
Moving on to the tour, how much of that was your input of like, I'm going to do this because you did this tap number on the tour.
Well, the tap number, that was Nick Young and I, we did it as a duet, but on the season finale of the show, we did it as a trio. Matt Flint, who was
is that right?
Who was the UK winner of So You Can Dance that year, came over to the States to perform for the finale. And we did it as a trio. We choreographed that ourselves.
Wow. Oh, how cool.
Yeah, because everything else is pretty already on the schedule as to like, okay, so we're gonna have these classic numbers that were memorable from this season perform, but we want some new stuff to be on the show too for the season finale. And they had myself, Matt, and Nick Young just had studio space to ourselves, just got to come up with something.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And then we did it for the tour, and it was really, really fun. And that became one of, a really popular number for the season.
Number
and sometimes the best stuff is like at the very, very end because the pressure's off, and you can just like let loose.
Yeah,
and just
kind
have
of like explore creatively.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, so you're connected with Josh Bergas.
Yes.
He gets you. What was your role in Smash in the TV show?
Oh, I was a dancer. I was in 1,001 Nights, I think it was. It was a Bollywood number in the first season.
Oh my gosh! Oh, it just hit because that is the number with Kat McPhee's husband. Where that was the number. That was a number that. Sorry, I'm geeking. I love Smash, and I just rewatched
the character in the show.
I just rewatched it. Yeah, it was Kat McPhee's, her husband character in the show. And that was a number in Smash, one of the few numbers in Smash that was not diegetic. That was it helped further the narrative like a musical.
And it was cool because the group of dancers that they hired for that show are, now all prominent Broadway performers and choreographers now. So it was myself, it was Aaron Albano, it was Mark Myers, who's an associate choreographer for Chris Gatelli. It was Sarah O'Gleeby, it was Eleanor Scott. It was really fun.
Crazy.
It was amazing. Crazy. It was fun because it was downtown. I hadn't moved into the city yet. I was still living in Jersey, so I was not very privy to the subway system. I was just like, how do I get down to this remote location?
Wow, that's so
but
cool.
it was cool. And Captain McPhee, the cast was very, very nice. But it was fun.
So can you talk to me about you're working so actively. You have a little bit of a following through So You Think You Can Dance, right? I mean, I imagine that kind of like shaped your career in one respect, and people were noticing you and all this other stuff. And then you're at the age of like college, right? You went to Pace, am I right?
I went to Pace, yes.
Yeah. So talk to me a little bit about your college audition experience in terms of, because now I always say now it's such a culture, business, it's such a thing, and it kind of was when you were auditioning too. Am I right?
Right. Well, it was kind of like a perfect storm of a lot of things happening at the same time, especially during my senior year, because it was auditioning for So You Think You Can Dance, auditioning for different college programs, and actually at the same time auditioning for Newsies at Paper Mill Playhouse.
Oh.
All that happening at the same time. So really just picture everything happening in different blocks of time throughout that school year. It was nuts.
Yeah, that is nuts.
But I was supposed to go. I would have started school technically in the fall of 2011. Yeah. But I held back a year because what happened was I would have started in the spring semester, so January 2012. But I was on tour with So You Think You Can Dance, so I pushed that back to the spring. Yeah. And then, because at the same time, I was actually offered a spot in the ensemble for Newsies at Paper Mill. Oh. When I was doing So You Think You Can Dance, but they were waiting on pins and needles to see if I was gonna make it to the top 10, and if I did not make it to the top 10, that would make me available for the production. Wow. But then I was on tour with So You Think You Can Dance, and I couldn't do it at Paper Mill. Right. I was also dance captain for the tour too, which was for 19. Just picture.
Yeah, you're a 19-year-old dance captain.
But just picture a little 19-year-old, this little kid, and then sometimes we did have people who called out from the show. So we have a lot of different departments. You have a projection department, costume department, sound department, lighting department, everything. And then I would have to go through the running order of the show. I'm like, okay, we're taking out this montage, we're taking out this video, and everyone would just kind of be listening to okay, we're taking this out, and they were so sweet. I'm just like, I just realized I'm just like this little kid. These are
I was gonna say
these are well-established, touring, crew members and stuff too, who are listening to this little kid. I couldn't believe. I just couldn't believe it.
Wow. How'd you get that job? The dance captain.
Mandy Moore, who was also a choreographer who I worked with on So You Think You Can Dance.
I did not realize she choreographed on So You Think You Can Dance.
Yeah, she was a resident choreographer.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
Wow. Because there are a few choreographers who I have such a great connection with to this day. Manny is one of them. She's a dear friend. She's so amazing. Josh as well. Just the connections, and they have always been so great to me. Right. So. But Mandy also was the choreography supervising choreographer on the tour, and she noticed that obviously I had a little bit of a generalization of all the numbers, and she was like, "Would you want to be dance captain?" I said, "Sure, yeah, why not?"
Gosh, that's so cool.
And I would watch because they had video projections of the show, so I would watch and take notes of there because I was mostly overseeing the group numbers, the duets, and so there was internal coverage, right. But I was really just overseeing a lot of the group numbers, just to make sure that formations and stuff.
That's amazing.
But I was on tour. I couldn't do Newsies at Paper Mill. Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, okay. And then I came back from tour. It was early November, something like that. And then it was not long after that Newsies announced it was going to Broadway. So it was like, oh. And you have to remember something. So they really had their formal announcement, and then they made a big splash on the Macy's Parade. Yeah. Now, I had been in 2 other Broadway shows that technically appeared on the Macy's Parade. I did not appear in those production numbers on the parade. So the Grinch, it was the other cast of 12 kids that performed on the Macy's parade.
Oh, man.
For Bye Bye Birdie, it was all the female teenage ensemble for Put on a Happy Face. And then it was the Paper Mill Company of Newsies that performed King of New York.
Right.
But the cool thing about, you talk about SYTYCD Dance and how kind of, helped with marketing and just, myself and marketing myself as a dancer, after the season, was that there were 4 of us alumni from SYTYCD Dance who were going to appear in the new original Broadway company of Newsies. It was myself, Evan Kasprzak, the guy who started it all for me, who appeared in the original company of Newsies at Paper Mill. So he was with it from the get-go. Thane Jasperson, who was on season 4.
Yeah.
And
he's in Hamilton right now, right?
Yes.
Thane? Yeah.
Yes.
He's an original cast member.
I
think he's the only original cast member of Hamilton
he is.
who's still in Hamilton.
That's him.
10 years.
And Alex Wong.
Wow.
We were all going to be on Broadway at the same time in the same show.
Oh my goodness.
It was cool. So for SYTYCD Dance, it was a huge thing for the show to have 4 dancers in the same show. It was awesome.
No, but so in terms of college, you were auditioning for all the colleges that you wanted to get seen for, and Newsies, and SYTYCD Dance.
Yeah, all at the same time.
Oh my gosh. So which ones did you get into college?
Well, I didn't get into many.
Is that right? Really?
Yeah, I did. No, I got into Montclair. I got into Pace. But I mean, going in for stuff, that's one thing. Auditioning is another thing. Yeah. I auditioned for NYU. I auditioned for SUNY Purchase, Montclair, Marymount Pace, SUNY Purchase, and just for the experience. Yeah. Just for the experience, because there was not a chance in hell for me to get in to Juilliard, but I went in to audition for Juilliard.
Hey, why not? You already had, gosh.
Just for the experience, I was like, you know what?
3 Broadway shows under your belt already, and
that's right. A holiday show and Sweet Apple production.
No, but I mean, hey, there are people who've gone into Juilliard with less. That's
right,
for sure.
Well, sure. But nonetheless, I was like, let's just go for it. Let's just try it out. And I actually tried out for a lot of the departments, not just musical theater, but dance and so forth for all these different programs. But Pace felt like the most very enticing to me, because a lot of the programs are strict 4-year programs to where it's the program or nothing. So, and you really can't have a hybrid of both, of a professional career with an educational career.
Right.
Pace was the only one that had that exception. It was the exception, because they had students who were taking classes part-time, online and stuff too. So it was really kind of setting an example as to how,
hybrid of both.
Yeah, and just for performers who wanted an education to have that degree too, a formal education, college education to get it. So that was why
you were simultaneously in Pace and doing Newsies and doing SYTYCD Dance.
Yeah, well, because I wouldn't actually enroll into Pace until the fall of 2012. So I waited a full year.
Okay.
And then I started going part-time in the fall of 2012.
While you were in Newsies?
While I was in Newsies.
Oh my goodness.
But you have to remember, I went to Pace part-time as a part-time student in the BFA musical theater program for 8 years. It took me 8 years to complete and to get my degree. Because
you were working. Mm-hmm. Hey, whatever it takes.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. And there were a lot of times to where I had different advisors along the way who were like, why is he still here? And there were times even to where students were like, we hear you here. We hear that you're here, but I think we hear that you're kind of like a Broadway, like a Pace, like a college myth, to where you're still like, we don't see you.
Right.
I'm like, well, yeah, because the schedule was crazy. Yeah. I was nuts at that time, because it was just like, trying to balance 9 a.m. classes with a 2-show day. Yeah, it was a lot.
Oh my god.
But I did that throughout the course of Newsies, On the Town, Cats, Dolly, Carousel.
Jeez. Yeah. Oh wow. Mm-hmm. My goodness. So can you talk a little bit about your Newsies audition too? I'm gonna be riding college and Newsies at the same time the way you were.
Yeah. Well, for Paper Mill, it was I think I had like 3 calls. It was like an initial dance call. We learned Seeds a Day, and that was my first introduction to Chris Gatelli.
Yeah.
Just the sweetest man.
Yeah.
Then I went in for like a vocal appointment. I just sang some stuff. Jeff Calhoun, who directed the show, it was for him. And then I think we were at Ballet Hispanico for the final callbacks. And I remember my group was it was a pretty cool group for the dance portion. It was myself, Aaron Albano, and Kyle Kaufman.
Wow.
Who we will all eventually appear together on Broadway.
How cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
So talk to me about, what was your role in Newsies exactly?
I was ensemble, and my Newsies name was Buttons.
Buttons. You were not just in Newsies, but you are the face of Newsies.
Yes.
I mean, that's the cool part. So I'm in Disney World, and Disney World is doing this Disney on Broadway thing. Yeah. And you go in there, and they're talking Newsies, and there's museum stuff of Newsies. Your face is there. Yes, you go to the Museum of Broadway right now. There's a whole Disney theatrical section. You're there. You are the face of Newsies.
It is the gift that keeps on giving.
I'll
tell you that much.
Yeah,
it really is.
The fan base is huge. That is, all of it.
Absolutely.
All of it. So I guess talk to me a little bit about.
Well, when it came to that image was used as a production still shot for when the show originally opened on Broadway, and that was myself and Aaron Albano that captured that moment. It was that height of that jump that was stilled right there, captured. Right. And then they used it for the front doors of the Nederlander Theater like a year into the run. And then a year and a half into the run, like the fall of 2013, they were going to do a whole new boost on the ad campaign, and the slogan was "Nothing moves like Newsies." And they wanted to, redo the ad campaign and the marketing. So they took that image of myself. And I remember the first time I saw it was like an insert for like a playbill, for the show's playbill. Right. And I noticed a very slight difference because in the original photo, I'm really like intense about it too. Yeah, yeah. And then when they used it, they started using it for the actual like marketing, they lifted my eyebrows to make me look a little more joyous instead of like angry. Yeah, which was amazing. I was like, well, you know what? The power of technology. The intention is suddenly totally But then changed. When I started to see how ferries to the going to the Staten Island ferry over there, buses, posters, garbage cans, telephone booths, everything. It was everywhere. It was really everywhere, and I was like, I can't believe this. Yeah. I really couldn't believe it. You are in that time especially immortalized. You know what I mean? I mean that's what that is. It was amazing. It was a real pinch me moment because I saw my face a lot of times just going to the subway, seeing posters and stuff. I couldn't believe it. Book so since you didn't do the paper mill production, did you have to re-audition for Broadway? I did. I did. But it was cool because it was a very limited, it was a very shortened audition process. But it was the same kind of drill. It was the same thing to where I just sent the same material more or less. But the callback was cool because it was myself, it was Thane, it was Ephraim Sykes who was in the original production. Wow. Michael Fatica, we were all in the same group. So it was cool to kind of continue on with them. That's so cool. That's awesome. But it wasn't just me. It was them, and I didn't feel alone. It was us as a group that were entering this family that had already been established. And then for them to welcome us with open arms was pretty cool. Yeah, that is really cool. That's awesome. Talk to me about the fan base, the fansies. Talk to me about They're the driving force of that show. They have always been and will continue to be for this show. Yeah. Because without them, the show doesn't really happen at Paper Mill because that was a generation that grew up on the film, that knew the soundtrack, that just put up on their own like good old summer stock. They just put on their own shows without a proper property of the show. Yeah. And then it made Newsies made Disney realize, we really need like a legitimate we need a legitimate property, like a real proper version of this show. And that's what Paper Mill was for. But then the fansies came to that in droves, and they loved it. Yeah. And then they did not want to see it die. And then from there, so it was always these little little Cheerios. So they were just kind of placing out in front. It was one, then another, then another. Yeah. And so after Paper Mill, they announced it's transferring to Broadway. And then from Broadway, it was only going to be 101 performances. Mm-hmm. That will get us to the end of the season. Right. But then Meg comes around. We got 8 Tony nominations, including Best Musical. Right. And then they realize, you know what? There's something in the air. There is a sign here. There is something that's telling us that we need to continue the show forward. And that was the fansies. And it's something that to this day you could argue, this and Lion King and maybe Beauty and the Beast. These are probably the 3 pillars of Disney theatrical in a way. Well, yeah, and for a show like Newsies, the most successful shows. I agree, and I think it was the most unconventional Disney because it wasn't the quintessential Disney that we all love. this is a different kind of Disney that was putting together something that was more like an underdog story.
I knew the Newsies musical before I knew the Newsies movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a bigger property than its original property.
Right. But what's great about a story and a property like the original film of Newsies was that obviously it was not well received. It did not do well at the box office. So it's kind of like this middlebrow kind of movie.
Right.
To where it had such a promising trajectory. It had such a great potential to be something really great.
Yeah.
So sometimes that starts off as a great idea. How do you try to live up to that same expectation with the original source material, original like adaptation? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So to adapt it into a musical, you had to match it. With Newsies, it was like this perfect, progression. It really was. It was really, really cool to kind of see it happening in front of our eyes. We couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
But then for the fancies to really, push it into motion, it was really, really cool because they were the driving force, and Disney knew, because I think also Disney obviously sees visions for different shows and stuff, but sometimes, for a show like Newsies, it was like they had to just listen to the base, and the base was like, this is our show.
This is what we want.
This is what we want.
Right.
And they realized that they could not disappoint them.
Right.
And it paid off. It paid off. The show ran for 2.5 years.
Amazing.
It recouped its investment 6 months into the run.
Did it really?
Because it's a very
It
was a very inexpensive show.
Really?
It was $6 million.
Oh.
Because the set was very minimal.
Right.
It was three-story towers with 3 wagons, some projections, a little here and there, a small band, 12 musicians in the orchestra, a cast that was probably around 30 or so, but still, nonetheless, it was still a very
bona fide hit.
It was a very inexpensive show to run. Wow. So when we got the news about the show recouping its investment, we're like, what?
We're about to be on Broadway for a long time.
Yeah, but then also we were just so excited that there was such a huge drive.
Yeah.
And the Nederlander Theater is such a special place for a lot of different shows like Rent and shows before that too, and since then too. Yeah. But what's cool about that theater to us, and it kind of, we had the same. I feel like energy wise, even though aesthetically we weren't the same show, but we treated that show like it was like, yeah, maybe this theater isn't like the Coupe de Cap. It's not the prettiest of theaters.
Sure.
And but it's our theater.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a Newsie in and of itself.
Yeah.
Like
and there's a lot of treasured stories in that building.
Yeah.
That I think will continue to live on to this day.
And in itself, where it's located, feels like an outsider.
Yeah.
It feels like it's not near all the hub.
Oh, it's so great. I mean, I love that theater. It's an old theater. It's a precious theater, and and obviously they've restored it. They've done some work on it, but it's pretty cool to
that's awesome
to have done that show.
I love that. So did you close out Newsies?
I did not. I was well. This is a terrible story. I was offered to do, because I had done the lab for On the Town.
Okay.
On the Town had just done its production at Barrington Stage that summer of 2013.
Okay.
And they were doing a lab because they had a producer attached to it.
Right.
And the show was going to transfer to Broadway next season. So I decided that I was going to accept that offer for the Broadway production. So by, I don't know, probably like by March or April, one of those months, was when I was initially offered. And then once I put in my notice, it was like a month before. But June 22nd was my last show. And that was also the same day that Newsies got its closing notice.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a bittersweet day.
Yeah.
And we got the news before the show.
Jeez.
So it was intense.
Wow.
But it gave us a reason to put on a really good show that day. It was a Saturday. It was a Sunday matinee. So we were like, let's use this as our driving force.
Right.
So we were really grateful for to just kind of let that be the purpose for that performance in particular.
Yeah, that's.
But then I would have started On the Town in the fall, but I actually decided to do another quick run of a show. It was another Chris Gatelli project. Still to this day, my favorite show, I think, arguably my favorite show. It varies. It was a show. It never came to Broadway. It was called not yet, I should say. It was called In Your Arms. Huh. It was a dance concept conceived by Gatelli, and I did it for 2 summers back to back. I did it in the summer of 2014 and 2015. Wow. The first summer was at Vassar, New York Stage and Film, and the second one was at the Globe in San Diego.
Wow.
And it was the concept was 10 short stories vignettes about romantic destiny, love stories, of two characters falling in love, written by 10 different playwrights, told through dance, through different styles of dance, through different styles of music, all musically written by Stephen Flaherty.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I'll just list all the playwrights because it's just, the list was amazing. Nilo Cruz, Alfred Urey, Carrie Fisher, Lynn Nottage, Douglas Carter Bean, Marsha Norman, David Henry Hwang, Rajiv Joseph, Krista Rang, and Terrence McNally.
Krista Rang, Terrence McNally,
I was in
Urey.
because my feature in the love story was prominent in a piece that was written by Carrie Fisher. Wow! So that was cool. But that was a show, and those 2 summers were just unbelievable. And the music is so good. And obviously, it's kind of taking a place in the shelf right now. But I think at some point, for Gatelli, I'm so happy for Chris Gatelli because obviously he has already proved himself to be a Tony-winning choreographer. Yeah. And now, because he's been striving to be a director choreographer, he's had projects that he's worked with from the ground up, and now he has shows like Death Becomes Her, and now we just did Schmigadoon. I'm so happy for him that he has this slate as a director choreographer. We've
talked so much about him recently because of Take the Lead, which was oh my gosh, it was excellent. Yes. I don't know if did you get the chance to see it?
I did not. I heard it's great.
It was excellent, and I really hope it transfers. I think it will.
But I'm so happy for him because he is so smart. He is so clever. He's the sweetest man, but he has like this little wicked sense of humor. You can see in his eye.
Yeah, and you see it all over Death Becomes Her.
I love it. But he comes off, his demeanor is just like the sweetest man, but he has like that little twist of humor, which is perfect. Yeah, it's a great juxtaposition. I love it. I love it.
He's a genius.
But I left Newsies to do In Your Arms first, and then I did On the Town that fall.
Wow.
Do you know why he never transferred?
I think it always depends on just its market, its place, its lane as to how it's going to be, presented. Right. Because it was a very artistic show. Yeah. But I was always curious as to what, setting, what theater, what not for profit, what place would this show be welcomed with open arms. So In Your Arms, no pun intended. But I was always curious as to what the next steps would be. So I don't know. To be continued. You know what? I was just on a text thread with Chris Gatelli and a few other people from the show. Yeah. And we were just chatting about something that was related to the show. Yeah. And it brought back so many memories. But that cast was great because, both casts were great because I did 2 summers back to back. But, the first cast, I should say, consisted of 2 legends who are no longer with us, Carol Shelley and Robert Morse. And then the second season, the second year we did at the Globe, it was Donna McKechnie and George Chakiris.
Oh my goodness!
You know George Chakiris, yes?
I think so.
The Oscar-winning Bernardo from West Side Story.
Oh,
from the original.
Yes, of course. Oh my.
And
goodness.
I read his bio last summer, and he had the show In Your Arms listed on his credits page. It was amazing.
That is amazing.
Such a sweetheart, and he's in his early 90s. God bless him.
Wow, that's amazing. And Donna too. Donna just wrapped up her run in Wicked. She's 82.
Oh, she's so great.
Yeah,
that cast was amazing. Both casts were amazing. That show has a very special place in my heart, and to be continued.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. So On the Town, you already are connected with Josh, but I imagine you had to audition for that too, or no?
I did audition for that. You did. I did. And then, so I did the lab. I auditioned for the lab, and then I remember I went in for a fitting, and they were like, who are? I'm like, I'm Jess LeProtto, ensemble, and they were like, oh. Do you know what what features you have? Oh, you have a lot of fun features. I'm like, well, who am I? And like, oh, you're the taxi dispatcher. You're S. Uperman.
Yes.
So I had all these different passing moments and stuff where I was channeling my inner Danny DeVito.
Talk to me about. I imagine you knew On the Town beforehand, right? I mean, it's that Gene Carroll era.
Yes.
Of
very much so.
Yeah. So, and it is some of the most incredible music by Leonard Bernstein.
Oh, I think to this day he's still my favorite Broadway composer.
Yeah, I mean he's a genius. Amazing. And On the Town is a very tricky show on all fronts. Yes. I mean, it's tricky because it's the comedy in it is tricky. Musically, it's tricky. Choreographically, I don't know if that's the word, but it is meant to be a high level dance show. Yes.
I mean, there's a lot going at it. I mean, but one thing about great standard golden age musical theater, it is so unapologetic. It knows what it is. I feel like the best theater sometimes is just when it knows what it is.
Right.
And it's not apologize for anything.
Right.
It's being somehow shameless about itself and its story and just how it's being presented to an audience.
Right.
So On the Town, obviously, it's a sentimental, because there are great sentimental moments, like Some Other Time is a beautiful sentiment in the second act. But it's got great sketch comedy when you really think about it. It's really written as a sketch show because there are these great sequences and stuff too.
And these
comedically.
New York vignettes.
And John Randall was the perfect director to direct it. And funny enough, that season of So You Can Dance that was happening that summer, the winner of So You Can Dance, their prize was they were going to make their Broadway debut in On the Town. And do you know who it was that won that season?
No, who was it?
Ricky Ubeda.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's so funny.
And I met Ricky, I think it was like the day or second day after he won the season. He was champion for the season of So You Can Dance. He came, it must have been like a red eye or something like that. He came to one of our run-throughs and I was like, how you doing? He's like, I'm tired.
Jeez, he's making
but
his
then
boat
he came in because he obviously had to fulfill the tour of So You Can Dance that fall season.
Yeah.
He came to us in the winter of 2015.
Oh
and
my
it was great to have him in the
goodness.
show.
That is incredible. That's incredible. Yeah, talk to me about that style of dance. What at least where we're at right now, you have Newsies, which is one style. Bye Bye Birdie was a very specific style and tone and all this stuff. But On the Town is very specific. The comedy on, like I mentioned, all those things. Can you talk to me about how tricky it is?
Yeah.
And also the specific tone and stuff. Because even though it's a golden age, it's different from something like Carousel.
Stylistically.
And did they change the choreo?
They did. Well, that's kind of like the cool thing about that show in particular. I don't know if there's any written documentation. I know there's probably some video archival information of the original choreography, but not consistently. It's not. I don't know if it's all consistent from start to finish from the original production. So which kind of gives a choreographer a clean slate to do their own thing. So Josh did a magnificent job on that production.
Yeah.
And I would say, because up to that point, a lot of the styles are all relative, and more or less.
Right.
Like Bye Bye Birdie was more 60s and a little bit more sharper as far as its historical context was.
Yes.
And
very specific to that era.
Yeah, very trending to what that style was at that time in the early 60s. And then like Newsies was very much young, youthful, really, rambunctious and, such adrenaline and raw kind of, energy for young male dancers.
Right.
This is a little bit different because it was a little more pristine because costume-wise, you have to think about costumes too. We're in sailor costumes. I have nowhere to hide. I'm in all white.
And tight.
Yes, and tight. So I'm in sailor costumes and, and that stuff is very pristine. And I think the cleanliness of that show was really, to see all those men dancing in those sailor suits was amazing.
Yeah, and very, very technique based.
Yeah, very technique based. But the trickiest thing about that show too, and like with a lot of Bernstein, music and generally speaking, is the score. The score is not a walk in the park by any means. There are time signatures, different time signatures, and how you can count something musically as a dancer. You kind of have to count things differently depending on if there's. You could count it technically by the beats that are per measure. You could, but that might not be able to be processed as a dancer. You want to try to find the easiest and simplest ways to kind of make sure that everyone gets the same information at the same time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or the same way.
How do you go about doing that then?
You just use accents. You use musical ear to kind of, instead of counting it, sometimes you're just waiting for a certain accent. You can kind of count a certain amount, a certain couple counts to get to that accent and stuff too. Oh. I remember there was a sequence in the Times Square Ballet that we really just had to listen in very carefully on about different counts and stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because he was saying that, Jerry Mitchell was saying that they changed choreo. Jerome changed his own choreo.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Jerome Robbins Broadway.
Yeah, and I think for Jerome Robbins Broadway, he was going off of memory.
Yeah, he
was going off of memory.
It was really just memory, and then Jerry had mentioned that they would have to go through archivals and try to find stuff and speak to people who were in those shows.
But there's not much of it, right? I wouldn't say there's very little, but there's not enough.
This is a movie like West Side.
No.
No.
And so he's piecing it together along with people who were in the show originally, and
there are, I'm sure there aren't as many disciples of Jerome Robbins' choreography for On the Town, whereas for West Side Story there's a lot of people who know that repertoire.
Right. He wants to do something different. That's what's crazy.
But that's what's kind of cool. I think that show it is important as far as the new wave of musical revivals to where it reintroduced the concept of new choreographers putting their own stamp on earlier material, on older material. Yeah. Because with Josh doing that for On the Town, and then you see coming up around the way, you see Justin Peck's interpretation of Agnes Mills. Agnes Mills originally choreographed Carousel.
Right.
You have Justin Peck doing it for this last revival. Then you have someone like Anna Teresa de Kiersmacher for the last West Side Story revival that Eva Van Hove.
Yes.
So it seems to kind of be like we're now shifting in a different way, which is great as long as we understand, that there are people
where we came from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's this evolution. It's like this natural
which
evolution.
I love.
Yeah, I think so too. It's brilliant. And On the Town, how was that received?
I think, well, here's the trickiest thing. We were in the Lyric Theater. That's where I was for the Grinch, too. They renamed it. Then that theater went through a lot of different names.
Yeah. Hello, Spider-Man.
Yes. The Foxwoods, yes.
Yes.
But
that's right. So from the Grinch.
it went from the it went from the Ford Center of the Performing Arts to the Hilton, to the Foxwoods, to the Lyric.
To now the Lyric. And this is within a span, the Hilton to the Lyric, those three names, that's within a span of like 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was great. But it was well received. We had a tricky time trying to sell it too because we were in the Lyric and it's a huge house.
Yeah. And it's a little far away.
And it was 1,900 seats. So you have a hard time trying to sell that theater out.
1,900
And you feel it. And in the wintertime, you really feel it because that's the off season, really, more or less. Really
January, February.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
But we knew that we could try to push to the spring, and especially to when it was going to be when it was time for in season for the Navy to come into town.
Right.
Fleet Week.
Right.
Which was really important because then when we had Fleet Week, it was really a place for all these amazing people to come and check out our show.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it was cool.
That's awesome. Talk to me a little bit more about that, about Fleet Week On the Town.
It was amazing. We actually we got a tour of the Intrepid while we were.
Whoa!
Yeah,
how
it was
cool.
It was really cool.
That is so cool.
Fleet
Week in New York City, for those who are listening who aren't, is a huge thing. It's one of those things where you can't not notice it because there's some people in those white sailor outfits.
It's the coolest thing, and like these people who are really just protecting us at all times, and just are just the most fantastic people, and who deserve all the love when they come into the city. It is really a joyous week.
Yeah.
Not just the Navy, but just anyone in uniform. It's really just an amazing experience just to see them just roaming Times Square and coming to your shows, and it's such a. It really just kind of makes you just feel so proud that there are people who are just as great as these people
and doing that show
and just doing that show.
Yeah,
it just inspired us so much, and I think we had a couple talkabacks and such too.
Oh, cool.
With them too. It was just an awesome experience.
Yeah, and
I would say, like, aside from the dance for that show, I got to really have a fun time with the character actors in that show.
Yes, of course. Of course.
Just the names alone: Philip Boykin, Michael Rupert, Jackie Hoffman, Allison Gwynn,
Jackie Hoffman,
Steven DeRosa.
Jackie Hoffman was in that show.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was great. And I got to be with them a bunch of times, and I peed my pants way too many times.
Yeah,
with them.
I'm sure.
Oh,
I'm sure.
My God. I really had the best of both worlds because I was dancing like that 8 times a week, but I was also like doing like just fun comedy stuff.
I want to talk to you a little about, especially in a show like that, the stamina. I want to talk to you about the stamina required. You're doing so much. You are because it's so technical. Talk to me a little bit about your warm up.
Oh yeah, I would warm up. I would get to the theater quite early. I would get there probably around 6 o'clock if it was like an 8 o'clock show. Mm-hmm. Do like a full hour warm up.
Wow.
Whatnot, yeah, and then because sometimes you have to carve out a little bit of time, like 15 minutes before half hour, depending on if a swing was on, if an understudy was on, and there needed to be some partner work or lift calls and stuff too. That you want to make sure that because one thing about me is that I want to make sure that I feel as good as I can before going in. I don't want to go in cold. Yeah, I want to make sure that every part of my body, every corner, everything, muscle, whatnot, is ready to go. Yeah. Do like a good stretching, regimen, and then do like a good warm up, build up. Do like a little ballet bar, a little cardio, little crunches and abdominals and stuff too.
And I would imagine that every show that you do requires, because of these different styles, requires a different warm up.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, and because even if it doesn't, like for instance, Neil Diamond is a whole different stylistic, groove on stage. It's not the same technical drive, but my warm up has not really changed.
Right.
Which is great.
Interesting. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Tommy was saying
He was saying, yeah, Tommy. I asked that too because Tommy had mentioned that he was like, what I was doing during Newsies is not what I was doing during Heart of Rock and Roll.
No,
he's like, he said he was doing back handsprings during Newsies.
Yeah,
and he was like, I had to come way earlier and do a little bit more of a regimented thing. For Heart of Rock and Roll.
Well, you have to remember Newsies was interesting because we did not have a sprung deck.
What do you mean by that? Because you guys were tumbling.
Because we had a steel deck because we had the towers that weighed 2 tons.
Oh my gosh.
So it was not a sprung floor.
Wow. Yeah. Well,
they did find a portion of the floor, like in the apron, like downstage, that they could put a little bit of spring. But I'm like, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, is that normal to have a sprung deck?
Yeah. If it's not a very heavy automated show that has a lot of weight going down into the deck, then you could have a sprung deck. Yeah.
Oh wow. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. I didn't realize that. That's really cool. Yeah, right. Yeah, probably.
Depends on the show.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting. Okay, so your next show was A Bronx Tale at Paper Mill. Yes. We had Brittany on, and we've talked to Mark about it and whatnot. Bronx Tale was such a specific. They were looking for such a specific type for that show, and there was a lot. What Brittany had mentioned is more than the dance. Even there was a lot of vocal things that were required. Talk to me about your audition for that show.
Well, my journey with that show started way before that production.
Really?
I did a reading of it when I was 11, or just around the time I was doing Boy from Oz.
I didn't even realize that show was in development for that long.
Long time, and it was a whole different creative team.
And you were Young C.
I was Young C. Yep, I read for Young C. And the creative team was Michael Greif as a director, Patrick Vaccarello as a music director, Jimmy Webb as the composer and lyricist. The great Jimmy Webb.
Wow, completely different.
And John Lloyd Young was Calodro, Tony Award winner.
Who's the choreographer? Do you remember?
I don't know, because it was a reading. I don't think a choreographer was attached.
Right. Okay.
But it was a different creative team. So then, fast forward, I'm going in for this production. Yeah. And they saw that I had done the reading of it. And Beverly Jenkins, who was the production stage manager for the reading, also was continuing on with this too. So we were there from the get-go, who I love. But it was Jerry Zaks and Robert De Niro as co-directors, Alan Menken, who I worked with on Newsies. Yes. But obviously the dance portion of it was going to be, Sergio obviously has such a great style, great groove to his
specific
stuff.
Vision too.
Yes. But the music portion of it is no walk in the park. Ron Melrose was the music director, and it consisted of a lot of quartet, doo-wop influenced musicalization. So it was a lot of that stuff. And at that point, I was just starting to go in for Jersey Boys and like that too.
Oh, sure.
But I was way too young to be considered for Frankie. I went in for Frankie a bunch of times, but
and you've played Frankie since.
I did. I got to play with the Rev last year.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah.
But I was excited for this show because I can, even though I wasn't playing a Frankie Valli kind of role, I got to kind of channel my falsettos and stuff too, which was great. And I got to have fun with the comedy too because Jerry Zaks, who I adore to this day, I love that man.
Yeah,
I love that man.
He's so funny.
He's so funny, and he's kind of like an unofficial mentor to me. I just love him. I've learned so much from him.
Yeah,
he knows what an audience tunes in for. Understands how their pacing is. That has to when it comes to timing.
Yeah.
Line just lines and how you have to say things a certain way for them to kind of receive it and digest it and react to it.
Yeah.
He is amazing.
Who did you play in that Paper Mill production?
I was part of the doo-wop group, the quartet, and then I was one of Calodro's 3 friends. I played Nicky Zero.
Oh, with the Nicky Machiavelli number.
Yeah. No, not Nicky Machiavelli. It was Ain't It the Truth?
Oh, Ain't It the Truth? Ain't It the Truth? Nicky Machiavelli was the Sunny number.
Yes.
Yeah. Ain't It with Mario and
yes.
Yeah, that's
it's
a great number. So
it was fun.
That is so funny.
I love that show. I love that show a lot. It was great to see it come to fruition and to do it at Paper Mill. That was my first show at Paper Mill.
Oh,
I hadn't done a show at Paper Mill prior to that.
Oh wow! So we talked. I was gonna say we talked to Phil Colgan, and he had mentioned, he's the best. He's the greatest. And if I don't know if he's working on a show with Josh Ross right now.
Yes.
The boy band musical.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what it's called. Sorry guys. I'm like I don't want to call it the boy band musical, but that's what I know it as. I don't know what it's actually called, but it's a jukebox of boy band songs.
Cool.
And but so Phil had mentioned that was like a big thing for him. That was a big moment for him. And but the transfer from, and Brittany said this too, the transfer from Paper Mill to Broadway was who knew who was gonna get cut?
Who knew?
Yeah, it really was a who knows.
Well, at the same time, and there wasn't a guarantee right away about it transferring. So I was auditioning for other things at the time, including Cats. I was auditioning for Cats.
Oh, okay.
So, and then when I didn't hear anything about A Bronx Tale, and then when I accepted the offer for Cats, then it wasn't like a month or two after that it was going to be announced that Bronx Tale was also going to transfer. So I missed out on that. But I was like, well, I had to kind of,
you had to pick between
weigh
the two.
my options here.
Yeah, you had to pick between the two. Okay, talk to me about Cats, the audition for Cats. I mean...
That was fun.
Yeah?
That was fun because I think I went in for an initial call, and then they started to break it up to where you were being considered for, more specific characters. So I went in for Mungo Jerry.
And that was Andy, right? Andy choreographed that.
And it was Jillian. So it was
Andy Blankenblue.
It was a combination between Jillian's original choreography and Andy's new choreography. But it was fun because I went in for the original dance call, and then I went in for Mungo Jerry. So if I was waiting outside, they were actually just doing like a female call, like a women's call, dance call. And I wasn't sure but I stepped into, it was at Gibney at 890 Broadway downtown.
Okay, sure.
And I was like, are we doing like a dance call from Mungo Jerry? And they're like, no, not yet. You can just wait outside. And Andy was like, no, why don't you just wait in here and just warm up? Why just warm up? And it was myself and a couple other guys in contention, so it was just us warming up, watching the women's call. I was just like, when do we ever get to watch a women's call?
Yeah,
dance call?
right. Oh my gosh.
But
that's so funny.
But it was it was Andy, and I hadn't done a show with him before, but I obviously took his master classes, as I said earlier, and
this is him right off the cusp of Hamilton.
Yes, which was the peak.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to see his success throughout that time. And I remember I was reading the material, and he was so sweet, and they were like, in casting was like, is there anything else you need from Jess LeProtto? And he was like, I have nothing. I don't need anything else from Jess LeProtto. He was so nice.
He
was so nice. And he was just like, sometimes, when you have that rapport with someone who's behind the table, they're, they don't come around the table. But he was so nice, and
that's awesome.
He's the best. I love him.
What did you guys audition with for Cats in terms of the dance call? What did the dance call require? I mean, it's like
I think
it could be any number.
I think we did a combination to the Jellicle Ball.
Right.
I think we did, and then for the Mungo Jerry Rumple teaser callbacks, we did like a little portion of that, and we sang and danced.
Oh, very cool.
I think I paired up? I might have been paired up with Shanika, for that call. I think we were.
Oh, very cool.
Who I love.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you do Cats was, I mean, that revival, even that revival was a big deal. It was all, and they would let people go on stage at intermission.
Yeah, right? That's going back to the original production too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is that? What is that?
Well, I think it's a different form of theater to where England, and definitely so, to where it's interactive. So for intermission, for audience members to come up and really kind of experience what we see. Yeah. To see our angle point and to kind of see what we see.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, it's very
interesting. What was the did that affect anything for you guys when it comes to coming back to the show for Act 2?
You all could, depending on how dirty your shoes were.
I was gonna say, like, especially in the winter and the,
yeah. That could be a problem. That could be a problem. But
or people who don't want to leave the stage. I'm like,
well, there's that too. But our crew was pretty fantastic too, where they really kind of swept the floor and make sure that we weren't just gonna like step on someone.
You were safe before you step back on. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it was just something I was curious about because I remember I knew a couple people went to see that show, go see that show. But my girlfriend Kirsten went to go see it when we were in college, and I remember her posting this video on stage, and I'm like, "What do you do? Who let you there?"
Yeah.
And then thinking to myself, like, how is that a thing that's sustainable? And
it was fun. I did the show for 6 months, and actually, funny enough, the day after opening night of Cats, I started pre-production for Hello Dolly.
I mean, really, you're just.
But here's the thing: I didn't have a guarantee for the show. I was just helping out Warren Carlisle, the choreographer, with pre-production.
I see. How did you get involved in that?
I actually, at the same time, it was all this craziness. It was Cats. It was Hello Dolly auditioning,
right?
Because that was going to happen in the spring.
Yeah.
What else was there? But I was auditioning for Barnaby at the time. And for that audition role, but it was like a mixed bag. They were kind of seeing a bunch of different types for it. It was myself, Mike Wartella, Nick Barash, Taylor Trench, Michael Rosen. Taylor Trench won the role.
Yeah, he got
who's
the part.
amazing in it.
Yeah, current Tony nominee for
yes,
Floyd Collins.
Yes, I know. I'm so happy for him.
Yeah, he's brilliant in that show too.
But but I was like, all right, well, I guess I won't be considered for anything else in the show.
Yeah.
But I was also working with Warren on a special number for what was then called the Astaire Awards, now called the Cheater Awards.
Yes.
But that's how I started working with him closely on that stuff too. But then obviously he kept me in contact for pre-production, and then halfway through pre-production for Hello Dolly, I was doing double duty with Hello Dolly and Cats at Night or during the show schedule.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How demanding was Cats when it comes to?
I mean, it was demanding, but I would say, oddly enough, like, you know how sometimes stylized movement doesn't really feel like it's asymmetrical. It's like it's kind of like one-sided here and there too.
Yeah.
Because we're using full range of motion for us.
Right.
I mean, like, yes, there was some more stylized stuff, more in the feline vernacular.
Right.
But I would say that show was like the most I felt freeing as far as every edge of my body was like really in full motion. Like there was nothing that was overly worked. Everything was like really nicely proportioned, which was great.
Talk to me about,
aside from the rig stage, that was interesting.
Well, I was gonna say, right, rig stage. Talk to me. Well, so with Wicked, I know that they have that same thing. They have a rigged stage.
We had the highest rig too.
Oh really? Oh wow. See, so that's very demanding on these dancers. And I know about some of the monkeys who've had to undergo surgery and things like that
it's a lot
because of how taxing it is on your body.
It's a lot, but Is it something
you get used to?
Yeah, I mean, you get used to because like it really only affects you sometimes when you're turning.
Okay.
Because I would say if you're in active motion throughout the show from start to finish, you don't feel it as much.
Oh.
If you're standing still, you feel it a lot. Like because then you can feel it in your heels, you can feel it in your lower body. Like it's a lot. But but I loved it. The hardest part of the whole show was oddly enough the vocals. The score. It's a deceivingly tricky musical score to sing.
Wow, that's interesting.
Because it's a lot of choral arrangements and harmonies and stuff too.
Yeah.
And you're dancing your faces off.
And you're doing so much simultaneously.
So, you guys are popping in and out.
The
melody is not that tricky, but you guys are.
What you guys are doing about
It's a lot. It's a lot, but then like the duet that Shanika and I did to Mungo Jam Rebel Teaser was a lot of fun, and obviously that's a vocally stamina driven number too. So, I loved it because we got to kind of we stepped into these roles, and we're not playing ourselves, we're not playing people, we're playing a whole other species.
Yeah, right.
And we can just kind of create these characters and
through that.
Yeah, and we had great leadership with Trevor Nunn.
The Cats boot camp because there's like a yes. There's a lot. Our children's theater that I teach at we just did Cats last summer, and there was so much research that needed to be done based on exactly what you're talking about, like the feline energy of everything and how where you're thinking is what is informing your body. I mean, that's always the case, but this especially so.
Yes.
Right.
Well, because we had Jillian Lynn, but we also had Chrissy Cartwright, who was her associate, on hand to really kind of talk us through all this stuff too, because it's a whole different way of movement.
Yes.
We did mirror exercises. We were on the floor obviously a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We had different like role playing ideas to where we just kind of improvise and use our personalities as our characters to just kind of like inform our decisions and stuff.
You're on stage the whole time.
Choices. Yeah. The coolest thing, the interesting thing was Trevor Nunn, who originally directed the show on Broadway and now was directing this. He gave us 3 adjectives to describe us, and but he would bring us up. He would call us from our character's name, and then he would whisper in our ear what our first adjective was. We would go sit down, and then he would go through the same roll call again. We had to get up again, hear the third one, hear the second one, then the whole thing all over again, and then do the second, hear the third one again. Yeah, it was Yeah, so you would get three ones, and you couldn't share them with any other person.
And would that inform you for the duration of the run?
Because it helped you with your personality and how you kind of, approach the character too.
That's so interesting. And those 3 words were
and it was simple. It wasn't like an overload of information. It was just like straight to the point.
Can you reveal to us now what your words were? Do you remember?
Do I want to?
Well, that's what I mean. I mean, it's so secretive. It's very.
I don't know because I think the allure of the show, there's a lot of. Because, people talk about, it's a very thin plot, and, there's not a lot to it. There's a lot of dancing and stuff, too. But there's a lot of mystery to it.
Right.
to it, and and just in general speaking too, there's a lot of mystery in what we do, and sometimes revealing so much of it. Yeah. You can reveal some of it, but not all of it. Yeah. Because you still have to have something that's gonna tug you closer to it.
Sure. Did you ever find out anybody else's adjectives?
I don't know if I did.
Wow. Yeah. That's so interesting.
So we were all very good actors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. So you're in pre-pro for how long did Cats ran for like a year and a half, right? A little.
Yeah, I left after 6 months though.
Oh wow, to go do Dolly. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about Dolly. Talk to me about the talk behind Dolly. I mean, that was right around the time I was starting to go see Broadway.
First year,
yeah, our first year starting to really see Broadway. And but I wasn't aware of the hubbub yet or anything like that. Talk to me about the word behind. Okay, Bette Midler, David Hyde Pierce are coming to do this revival of this iconic.
Well, it definitely captured the zeitgeist of that season, most certainly.
Yeah. And that season was a thick season. I mean, it had, from what I understand, the most musicals aside from last season since the 80s. You had all of these new.
Oh yeah, that season was stacked. It was like the new musicals were
Dear Evan Hansen, Groundhog Day, Great Comet.
Yeah, it was a great season.
It was a great season. Come From Away.
Yes.
In Transit.
Yes.
Paramore was that year. I mean, it was so
and
much.
And then revivals, it was Us and Miss Saigon and Falsettos. It was a great season for revivals too.
Gosh, it was just a great season.
It was a great season.
Yeah.
But
this is This is 2016-17.
That's right.
16,
and we opened in the spring of 2017.
Yeah.
That show was
at the Schubert Theater.
Yes.
Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
We really captured, like, that show was really at the center of that season. I feel, because it was like the majesty of it. There was such a prestige energy going towards it because we were welcoming back someone who was obviously a legend.
Yes.
Who made her break on Broadway and then obviously transitioned into a huge multifaceted career as a performer, both in television, music, film, and now is coming back into a Broadway musical. She hadn't done a Broadway musical in over 50 years.
Wow.
She had done a one-woman play, Sue Bengers, but not a musical. So it was really a tour de force for her to come back and to be supported by that cast. I mean, it was David Hyde Pierce and Gavin and Taylor and Beanie, Melanie Moore, Jen Simard, Will Burton, and the ensemble cast, like
Kate Baldwin.
Yes. How could you forget Kate Baldwin?
Right. Who did Jen Simard play in that?
Jen Simard played David Hyde Pierce's character Van de Gelder's date to Harmonia Gardens.
Oh wow! I don't think I realized that.
We still recite lines to it where Van de Gelder says, "That's enough rouge, doctor." She was amazing. She was fantastic, and the ensemble cast was great. It was like me, Philip Atmore, Ryan Worsting, Robert Hardwick, Michael Hardtongue, Justin Bowen, Giuseppe Basilio. I mean, like, the list goes on and on and on. That's just the male ensemble, but the women's ensemble, it was like so fun, and the band was amazing.
Right.
The orchestra was glorious.
So because you were involved in pre-pro for that, did you get to re-audition for when it was?
No, it was 2 weeks into the run. It was 2 weeks into pre-pro. I'm sorry that that Warren was like, "Would you like to do the show?" I was like, well, "Absolutely,
absolutely, of course." And that was Jerry Zaks.
And that was Jerry. Yeah. And that was Jerry.
Yeah.
And then because they had seen me perform the material for Barnaby when I was initially auditioning for the show, when the tour was announced, they asked if I would play Barnaby.
How cool! Yeah, so cool.
Really
were you his cover or anything like that?
I was. There were 3 covers. It was myself. Well, first it was initially Justin Bowen and Michael Hardtongue, and then I was the 3rd cover, and then I went on.
Did you get to go on?
I never went on Broadway.
Okay.
But yeah, it was cool to do.
You were fantastic in that production.
Oh, thank you.
That production was fantastic. It was
fun.
Oh man, seeing the train come out.
It's like everyone goes goo goo gaga for that train. It's just like
amazing. It was amazing. It was like a real huge.
But I have to say that was the place to be seen and be seen at at that show. Like I would look up the lights. The show lights would start and we would start the first number, and I just know exactly where the celebrities are.
Right.
And I would just see Oprah, Tom Hanks. I remember it was like. The most random pairing was Neil deGrasse Tyson sitting next to Dan Aykroyd. And then I remember one day, I think it was Brian May from Queen who came to the show too. I was just like, I know that hair. It was cool.
The replacements,
well, that's the thing. You had Donna Murphy who was going on Tuesday.
Donna was glorious.
Yeah, and then Bernadette replaced
her. And then
it.
I left before Bernadette came in.
Okay. Yeah. And then who was David? David did it with Donna too, right?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah. Talk to me about working with Bette and David.
Oh my God, she's hilarious. I remember the first rehearsal. She decided to do an impromptu speech in front of the company in rehearsals in the studio. She said, "Listen, I'm not used to this. I'm used to just doing this all by myself. Listen, I know that you are all, just much better singers than I am. I know you are all much better dancers than I am. I know you're all much better actors than I am. I know none of you are as funny as I am." The ice in that instant, but it was she was amazing. I mean, and she really could do anything on stage. She could do a handstand and clap with her feet, and the audience would be like, riveting. They loved her. And it was not just theater crowds, it was her fans.
Right.
Who came too.
Right.
The craziest fans. I remember there was one guy who had obviously the premier seat in the front row of the Mez. And he had a hula dancer on the back of his shirt, but he had a dress shirt, and it was it had fringe to represent the skirt. And he was woo! I was just what is this? The craziness of this audience is beyond me.
Yeah.
You hear so much about these divas, and then backstage are the nicest.
Oh, yeah. She was so welcoming and so nice to everyone on off stage and on. It was so cool. But I would say the most intimate experience I had with Bette was actually we went to go because after I left Carousel, she wanted to see Carousel before she went back into Hello Dolly because she was going to close out the run of the show.
Okay.
But I wanted to go see because I was about to leave to go to Hello Dolly on tour.
Right.
I wanted to see Carousel before I left. And I chose the right night because I found out from our company manager that Bette was coming to the show. But Bette's husband could not make it. She was he was her date. And so there was an empty seat next to her. And they were like, well, you can go sit next to Bette if you want. I'm like, oh, all right, I'll go sit next to Bette. And she was hilarious. There were times to where she was like, huh, I didn't know that was part of the story. I'm like, yeah, it's part of it. Yeah. She forgot different plot points of the story.
That's so funny.
And then she came backstage and she was such a darling. She's amazing. And I remember being at Radio City Musical for the Tony ceremony, and she won the Tony for lead actress in a musical. And her speech, we were in the back, back
her
orchestra.
Speech was iconic.
We were like, what are you saying?
Yeah.
But I would say, who. And this is the credit also to David Hyde Pierce because I think he was initially being considered for featured actor, but then they considered him for lead actor, but also to give Gavin Creel his due
for featured.
And just to see Gavin just be on that stage and accept that award, it was the coolest thing. And people who know him and people who don't know him, just seeing him, be it if you saw him on screen, if you saw him, live in person on stage, or one-on-one, everyone got the same, reaction. He had such an infectious spirit.
Yeah.
This lovely, lovely man who just always looked out for everyone else, who was always asking about everyone else, to make sure everyone was good, and just checking in, and he was personable and just very loving to all of us. And so when that news came of his passing, I mean, it was really just a shock to everyone. I mean, and I was watching his memorial service, and there was not a dry eye in the house.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching it remotely. I was out of town, and it was a lot. Yeah. But I just know that he was truly loved by this community, by everyone in this community, and the community at large too, because he has made such a huge imprint on this industry and this community, and his legacy will live on. His story will live on. His voice, that beautiful voice, will be singing to us for a very, very long time after all of us have really left the building.
Yeah. And I was lucky enough to see him in Dolly, and also meet him a couple times, and he was the greatest. I saw him 3 months before he passed.
Wow.
He did, from what I understand, was his last live performance, and he was I think I'm right about that. I'm not sure, but we were at a benefit for Michelle Polk. We were doing a Lifetime Achievement Award thing for him, and he did You Got Trouble. And I have this video of it. It is marvelous. He is
so great.
He was the kindest, and he had this sweet dog, and he was just like so sweet and so talented. Man, the audience, he just was so funny and
and like the way that he like he wrapped that audience like in his grip, and he was just so, and the audience could not be any happier when they had him.
It's so charming.
It's so charming on stage.
Yeah.
And just, his presence, and it was so effortless. I mean, there's a lot of performances to where, you appreciate the effort going into it, but, I know that he put so much work into his craft, and then to have the final product be this beautiful person, this beautiful artist, be on stage and just perform and perfect so effortlessly is just, that is a true gift. That not many people have, and he had it. He had it.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Talk to me a little bit about these big numbers in Dolly. I mean, like, put on your Sunday clothes. I will never forget. It was this like eruption. It was such a great number. It was such a beautiful number. Like, it was just so sweet.
Well, that number is interesting because I actually didn't appear in that number. I appeared in like the tag at the end of the number.
Okay.
But what I loved about that number was we were offstage doing offstage vocals. It was me and Michael Hartung because we had the transition after that number proper. Right. And Bette is also in the wing for a lot of it. Yeah. And there was a time to where, because Don Pippin, who was the original vocal arranger and who also supervised the arrangements for this revival, had such intricate like rubbings of notes, like major seconds and stuff in some of these harmonies and stuff. Beautiful. And they were so intricate. And I remember like our harmony line for like it was like the baritones and stuff too was a very specific to where it kind of rubbed with other people's notes and stuff too. And Bette loved that, and she would try to duplicate that, and we would sing together off stage.
Oh my gosh,
that was cool.
Oh my gosh, that's so special.
And we would just like, I would just be so like, yes, that's right. Yes, you're right on the note, baby. That's right. She was amazing.
I want to talk a little bit about, before we wrap up on Dolly, this one last thing I have to mention about Dolly is that the moment of her coming down the stairs and the two moments, her coming down the stairs and her sitting at the table eating. When she's oh my gosh. I mean, I didn't see Bette. I saw Donna. But either way, I can only imagine what that moment was with Bette.
Oh
I imagine
God.
Every single night you guys were thinking, how much longer?
I was on stage for that courtroom scene.
Yes.
Some people aren't on stage.
Yeah. Were you on stage for the stairs too?
I was.
Yes.
Well, I was on stage. So when she comes down for Hello Dolly, yeah, I was on stage on the deck. I mean, and the audience went berserk. Yeah. Every night they went berserk.
Right.
Because it was Bette.
Right.
It was Bette, and
it's iconic.
Well, and it's also a testament to the material because, you know these characters for so long throughout the show, and then you get to see her really kind of relish in this moment. That's a testament to Michael Stewart, who wrote the book too, and Jerry Herman. Like, the timing is impeccable, and like the grand entrance of that introduction musically is just superior.
Such Broadway.
It is true. It is true quintessential Broadway.
Yeah.
And I just remember watching, just like see her go down, walk down the stairs. It was such a trip. And like, you have to remember, like, these costumes, Santo LaQuasta did the costume design and the set design, and these costumes were so immaculate. They were so beautiful. He won the Tony Award for it too. But I remember because we were in the waiters gallop sequence prior to the number Hello Dolly, and we only get to wear half of the piece because we had the aprons, we had the pants, we have our vests, bow ties and stuff too. But then we get to wear the jackets for Hello Dolly. We only got to wear those jackets, for me at least, one time for that number. Yeah. So I really enjoyed wearing that jacket.
Yeah, yeah.
It was so much fun. And like, because everything was custom made,
goodness.
It was, I couldn't believe it. I was just like, these are beautiful. Like the suits that we wore, the
whole
costumes.
show was so lavish.
It was colorful. It was gloriously colorful.
Yeah.
And I just remember that there was a time to where, because Bette could just go off, at any given time. Which obviously that is, that's live theater.
Part of it, yeah.
But because it's Bette and because it's Hello Dolly and because she has such a huge, like, just a strong rapport, like, she could just get away with murder. She really could. And there was a time to where she forgot the lyrics to Hello Dolly. She was just like, forget it. And she had to go to her next mark, and everyone was pissing themselves. Everyone was laughing so hard. And she did that a bunch of times. The invited dress run. Okay, yes. So the invited dress run was a historic moment because it was a blizzard that day. Keep in mind. So it was a real possibility that we had to cancel the invited dress, but we did it, and somehow or other we sold out that theater.
Oh my gosh!
For the invited dress, and she went up on a line in the beginning of the first act before put on your Sunday clothes. And then she broke the fourth wall. She was talking to the audience.
Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh!
She blamed her purse, her bag, and then the best was, I think it was that point, there was some transitional cue mishap to where the curtain went down before she could exit the stage at the end of the show. She's wearing this beautiful white wedding gown, and then she couldn't go off stage right away, so they had to bring the curtain up. But before they brought the curtain up, she was on the pass rail, and this was a very expensive production.
Right.
So her costume obviously was, a lot of money.
Yeah.
She just got on the floor and just laid on the floor.
Oh my gosh! And let it fall. That is so funny.
And the audience could not get enough. They ate it up because she can really do no wrong. She can do whatever she wants. They change lines all the time. The eating sequence with the dumplings in the courtroom scene,
and the steak.
And the steak.
Oh my gosh, that was so funny.
They even kind of flexed with the script a little bit to where David says, "I hate beets," and then Bette says, "You ate beets or you hate beets?" That's not in the script.
Oh,
that's something they just decided to just come up with. And then David would say, "I ate them and now I hate them." David Hyde Pierce, I say this to people all the time. David Hyde Pierce, if you had to look up, if there was a picture of someone to personify a definition of a word, it would be to the definition of nice.
Aww.
He is the nicest man on the face of the planet.
Oh.
A sweet, sweet, kind, gentle soul.
That's
I love
nice.
him.
I love that.
I love
that. Okay, so you leave Dolly to go do Carousel.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Talk to me, how did you get involved in Carousel?
Well,
you've been a part of such these are classic.
Yeah.
We were
really in
Birdie. These are classic musicals.
These are classic musicals, and this is really when it came to that trifecta of Cats, Dolly, and Carousel. Cats was more of a modern revival because it was in the 80s, but with Carousel being in the 40s and Dolly being in the 60s, we were really in the heyday of golden age quintessential aesthetic musical theater, be it was revivals or new musicals.
Right.
Like American in Paris was around the time of On the Town.
Yes, that's right.
Oh yeah, On the Town too from the 40s as well.
Yes.
But when it came to Carousel, I auditioned for Carousel. I went for the dance call, and then I didn't hear anything back from him. And then I was.
What was the audition like for that?
It was Blow High, Blow Low. We did Blow High.
Okay.
And it was for Justin. And
had you ever been in for him before?
No, first time. I mean, I had heard of him, and I was obviously,
a fan of
a big fan of his work. And it was a lot of fun. I never heard back from anything, and I was like, what is that about? Prior to when I was in Dolly, they were doing a lab of Carousel. So they did a few labs. We did 3 labs. The first lab was in the March of 2017, and Ricky Ubeda, Ahmad Simmons, colleagues of mine and peers of mine were in on that lab. And I was like, that's interesting. And I went in for the dance call because we were going to have another lab in June of 2017, right after Tony's season. And I was like, I didn't hear anything back from them. And Scott Rudin at the time, who was the producer, I found out that he did not want to poach an actor from one of his shows to another show.
Okay.
But then Jack O'Brien, who was directing the show, came to the rescue. He says, "What are you doing? No, we're not doing this. No, he's in the show. He's doing the lab at least." And I saw Jack on the first day. He was like, "Jess, don't mess with me." He was, and he has always been, just a wonderful man who's been so kind to me over the years. Because I did Grinch with him too. That's how.
Yes.
Going back to that. So I did the lab for Carousel.
He can do pretty much anything, Jack O'Brien. We talked about
him with Jerry. He's amazing.
He could do Grinch and Carousel and Shucked and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and then all the Shakespeare stuff.
Well, he comes from that generation, Jack O'Brien, because he was a dear colleague of Mike Nichols too. Trevor Nunn. These are people who have a great depth of knowledge and are not afraid as to bestowing that information to the generations below them.
Yeah.
Which is amazing. Which is the greatest gift that any director could give you, because any insight is appreciative. Yeah. All the insight is wonderfully overwhelming.
Yeah.
And and like Jack is, you know, one of those great storytellers who has such great insight into intentions for characters and the aesthetic of the musical environment that we're trying to recreate with that revival Carousel.
Right.
So I did the lab. I did 2 labs. I did a lab in June and November of 2017, and we opened in the spring of 2018. So I went from Dolly. I was doing a little bit of double duty with Dolly and Carousel, but then I went right into Carousel.
For the lab or for
the show proper?
The show? Oh, okay.
For the production.
Yeah.
Well, and I should say for the show too.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing the labs. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So talk to me about working with Justin Peck. I mean, all we've heard about Justin Peck, all we've talked about Justin Peck is he's this. I mean, like, such a what's the word that I'm looking for? Like, not premier, but like this specific choreographer that has very specific visions and just like brilliant. He's brilliant and he's so specific in terms of contemporary style.
Yes.
But paying so much homage to the past and to you know, he's so
he's got great respect. He's got great respect for the choreographers that he is obviously reimagining here, like Agnes Mill for Carousel, and then obviously his choreography for the film remake of West Side Story too. Like to see him kind of take the mantle and, you know, for that baton to be passed to him, it's only right that he was given that baton, because he has a great understanding of tradition and the classical sense with the more pedestrian style too.
Yes.
And it's a modern interpretation of ballet, which is always exciting to see how, you know, new artists can come up and try to, you know, move things progressively in the right direction to the next step, to the next frontier, I suppose.
Right.
So I feel like Justin is really at the forefront of that new. He has been of the new frontier for ballet.
He certainly is.
He really is.
Certainly is. He's revived ballet in this beautiful way, and yeah.
He's kept the artistry and somehow made a commercial at the same time.
Right.
Which is a wonderful hybrid. If you can find a way to find balance at it, is.
And made his voice so specific.
Yes.
I mean, his voice is known. I know when if I'm seeing something Justin Peck, I know it's Justin Peck.
Yes.
You know, and that's.
Oh, and that's quintessentially his style too, which is fantastic. But for that show, it was so cool to see. It was kind of interesting to see him kind of, you know, take on this production, because he was new to Broadway per se. So he was always asking, like, you know, veterans like myself and Ahmad and Colin Bradbury and a lot of Corey Snide. Like he was always asking, like, you know, so what are we doing? Like he was always like very curious and very intrigued, and he was almost like a student sometimes. So when it came to things that he wasn't privy to, or he didn't have any understanding of just yet of the Broadway scene, and now because really that was his, you know, baptism, I would suppose, for Broadway.
And that show was a big deal. That show was a big deal because, I mean, that was my first introduction to Carousel, but also it's a big deal because it's an iconic show, similar to Dolly.
It's a glorious musical.
You know, it's a one of a kind piece.
But it really is. But part of what's interesting about Carousel, and with a lot of other shows too that are similar to it as far as its arc goes, is that it is very drastically optimistic and very dark. It goes from optimism to dark, like that. Like there's no middle ground. There's no slowing down anything to kind of, you know, get yourself into that. It's very steep. It's a very steep contrast.
Yeah. But,
you know, and it has themes and stuff too that, you know, at the time were being questioned because of the dataness of the data material and stuff too. But it was just about how to approach it as best as you could. You know, to disregard it, I think people would have been very turned off by it.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I know that an attempt of some kind that Jack and the team were trying to put forth. I mean, it's a very tricky thing because, you know, you want to be respectful of the material, but you also want to understand the audience that is absorbing this material at this time. So, I mean, I commend them on just trying to, you know, find that fine line. It's not easy. It's an invisible line.
Yeah. You've been a part of so many iconic revivals.
Right.
At that point, that with this material, the balance of trying to understand someone's intentions, R&H's intention in the 40s, is almost impossible.
It's almost impossible, but you're just trying to find the closest thing that can connect to an audience. Trying to find something. Something, yes. And sometimes, you know, the most timeless pieces will find a way Right. There will be a connector of some kind. Yeah.
It definitely wasn't Carousel.
But I think the driving force for that particular revival, that production, was the choreography, because it was going to be Justin's new voice, his stamp, his first. He's going to hit the ground running on Broadway with this tremendous, choreography on Broadway, which was recognized, and to give light to a show that obviously had already had a revival prior to 20 years ago with Lincoln Center. So now, how do you give it a new take? How do you give it a new sense? And I think the driving force, the way it was going to find its own path individually, was going to be the choreography.
Right, and but also I have to say that the band the score was so.
And the cast, that cast is hard to put at second place, but that cast was amazing. Jesse Mueller, Jesse Mueller, I consider to be probably one of the probably arguably the finest theatrical, artist.
Ingenue, yeah, too.
Not even ingenue, just artist.
Yeah,
artist. She is so multifaceted. She is so incredibly intelligent as far as her talent as a vocalist, as a performer, as an artist, as an actor.
Yeah.
To the point where she's a well-rounded mover on stage. I mean, maybe she wouldn't consider herself to be a dancer, but she has such a great understanding
and the way she navigates style. You think about Beautiful and Waitress and Carousel.
She's a perfect chameleon.
Yeah, she is. And you know what? Honestly, so is Lindsay Mendez and Josh Henry. The three of them both. They're just like Josh Henry. When I think about Josh Henry doing The Wrong Man on Hamilton, and then I think about him doing Billy Bigelow and Into the Woods, it's like
And Renee Fleming and Alex Gimignani and the cast, Margaret Colin. It was. Oh my God! It was really a fun cast. Like we had a great time.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I remember Josh Henry had these stairwell videos. I don't know if you ever saw them.
Of course.
Yes. So it was myself, Jacob Keith Watson, Josh, and Renee Fleming, and we did a jazzy version of "Blow High, Blow Low."
Oh my gosh!
And then there were some times when Renee and I were, funny enough, coincidentally singing the same part. I'm like, I will never have another moment where I'm singing on the same line as Renee Fleming.
That is crazy. That is so crazy.
But that cast was so cool. And, and to perform on the Tonys that season for Blow High, Blow Low. I mean, I was blessed to perform on a lot of different shows that were nominated for different seasons. But
did you get to perform for the Tonys for Newsies too?
I did.
So talk to me about performing for the Tonys in general. It's such a. I'm sure that the energy in the room, I'm sure, is there's some pressure, there's nerves, but there's also excitement.
In the context of the telecast, yes, but in the context of the day itself, it's much bigger than that, because you have a dress run at 9 a.m. So you gotta do that. Then you gotta do your matinee.
Right.
Then you gotta do the live telecast.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's crazy.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because it's always on a Sunday and there's always a matinee.
Because of the live event, you need to have a dress rehearsal run of tape to have in case there's an emergency.
Right. Oh, right. So it's like a back. Yeah.
So you get up at as once the sun comes up, you're ready to go. Yeah. It's a lot.
And you guys are still singing live and all that stuff, right, for the Tonys?
There's portions of it where it's pre-recorded.
Yeah.
But like principal vocalists will sing live. Sometimes, most of the time, band music accompaniment is pre-recorded. Sometimes it's live. So give or take on the show.
Yeah, that was a beautiful performance of Carousel.
I love that. Yeah. And it was cool because someone who I got to work with on West Side Story, I worked with for the first time on the Tony telecast performance of Carousel. It was Harrison Cole. We were Jets in West Side Story together.
Oh, how cool!
Yeah, because it's a huge stage.
I love that. That's so cool.
Justin decided that we should add some more dancers. So aside from our swings, we had a few other dancers from City Ballet join us on stage.
Oh, awesome! Very
kind
cool.
Of,
You also got the legacy robe during Carousel.
I did. That was my second one.
Oh man, that was your second one.
I received the robe for On the Town too.
No way! Wow. Nice. So for those who don't know, we should say what the legacy robe is. The legacy robe goes to the ensemble member who has been in the most shows.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. And so and it feels like such a. It used to be called the gypsy robe, and now it's the legacy robe. But there's this not only honor, but there's this mystique, like you say, to the legacy robe, because so many people have gotten into this like honored Broadway tradition that is like it's a huge deal. It's very
well. I mean, it's been happening since the tradition has been alive since the 50s. So I mean, it's one of those allures. It's one of those beautiful, hallowed kind of traditions that there's a lot of history behind those.
Right.
And the people the coolest thing is that to meet and say hello to other former recipients who received the robe for like for shows from 50 years prior.
Right.
Like it's such a beautiful.
Do you get to keep that robe?
No.
Okay.
That is, I think every robe, for as long as Equity has been keeping tally of, is stored in the Equity building.
Wow.
I think they might have all of them on display. I'm not sure. But they have quite. I mean, like this is going back probably to when, probably like the 70s or 80s.
Yeah, I've seen them. They have this.
So when they had a little bit more of a database and a documentation of of the legacy and the gypsy robes. Yeah.
How cool.
But it was such a trip, and that was my second one. And then I would receive the robe a third time for Neil Diamond.
Wow, I did not know that. That's so cool. Good for you. That's awesome. So you go to do the Dolly tour. You're Barnaby. This is huge, right? For your career, for everything. This is like it's such a big moment, right? I mean, like, talk to me about how excited you were with that.
Well, I got that call out of the blue because I was in Carousel. We were in previews, and then they asked, and then I got an offer for Barnaby. I was like, I'm still in previews for Carousel.
Yeah.
So I was just really like, wow. And then to work with Bette, to work with Lewis, Nick Rouleau, and Lisa Lehman, Kristen Hahn, who was my mini Faye, who I love, who was just like all the cast, the touring cast was fantastic. Yeah. But to get to work with Jerry again, I mean, I was just like, come on. Like,
under different guys too, because now you are Barnaby.
I was just so happy, and the team was so welcoming, and they were just. They really guided me throughout the whole time, and Jerry, I listened to his every word, like I just trusted that man.
Talk to me about how it was received on tour around the country, and those same moments that we talked about.
They loved it because that show has such an enduring quality to it, to where
and Betty's amazing.
And there's something so, again, going back to the unapologetic purposes of those shows, like there's something so joyous about that time, and because that time there was a lot of divisiveness and such too, that a show that can really bring a lot of unity and a lot of life and love and happiness too. I think everyone can get on board with it.
Yeah, for sure. It's a universal show.
That's the best power of theater. It's like it's a unifying factor to where any great show you can list. There are obviously lists of great shows that can really bring such a broad audience together, and like you talk about shows that have been around for so long, that have been seen by millions and millions and millions and millions of people. Those are people who who come from all different walks of life, and I just find that so enrapturing about shows like Dolly, to where it's just it welcomes people in, and it just makes people feel at ease. Which is the best thing. That's what I hope for. It's just for people to just feel the love. And Dolly is all about love because she is a matchmaker. So
exactly.
For that love to go to go across the entire country, I think was rightfully needed.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to talk about. So there's a little thing called COVID that hit, and after Carousel, you did Carousel till it closed.
No, I left Carousel to go to the Hello Dolly tour.
Oh well, yes. We just talked about that. I'm sorry. Yes.
And then after I left Hello Dolly 6 months into the run because I went to film West Side Story.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So West Side Story was filmed before the pandemic.
That's right.
But it was scheduled to come out in 2020, and then it got pushed a year.
Yes.
Right. So you guys filmed the entirety. You guys wrapped before.
Yeah, we started pre-production and rehearsals March 2019. We started filming principal photography June.
And this was after you wrapped up the tour already. Did you?
Yeah. Well, I had left. The tour was continuing on. I was leaving after the first 6 months.
Okay. I see.
But then, so we started filming in June, and then we wrapped in late September.
Wow, how cool! And this is of 2019. 2019. And how did you get involved in the movie?
Well, while I was working on Carousel.
Yeah.
Before I left to go do the tour.
Yeah.
I got.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, I'm doing some pre-pro on a new upcoming project, but prior to, someone who I knew told me that Justin was being slated to choreograph the film. I was like, all right, well, that's great. Okay. But this was way before I did Carousel.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh, all right, well, that's fun. But then I knew that the film was coming up to starting, casting and auditioning and all that stuff. But he was doing pre-pro. But he didn't disclose what the project was.
Sure.
But I had an inkling.
Yeah.
This was July of 2018. I'm doing this pre-pro session. And he just needed bodies. There was nothing, like we were just prototypes.
Yeah.
So we did America. We did Cool. I think that was it, just for that first session.
Yeah.
But we were just prototypes, and what happened was there was one dancer got injured, so I had to take over his tracking as a prototype for Cool. So I had to sing as riff, I think, probably for that moment, just for that sequence, just for that pre-prep. Mm-hmm. There was no casting whatsoever.
Okay.
But I knew that this was going to be a pre-pro session to where other higher ups and people who are invested into this project were going to be there. So it was like,
so it was a mounting into like a workshop or something.
Well, I knew that. Well, it was already just a pre-pro, but it was going to be presented to other people.
I see.
So, and I remember the people who came in.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg.
Nice.
He came in, and it was the first time I ever saw him in person. I was like,
oh my gosh,
that man is Hollywood.
Yeah.
That is. I had seen celebrities, but who are Hollywood, centric over there. But like, I was like, that man is Hollywood.
He is Hollywood personified.
He came in with the brown leather jacket and the aviator glasses. I was like,
oh my gosh.
Oh, it was
He
cool.
looked like Hollywood.
Tony Kushner.
Yes.
Janine Tesori, who was our vocal supervisor.
Right? Yeah.
Cindy Tolan, the casting director.
Wow.
The head of 20th Century Fox. And the Jerome Robbins estate.
Wow.
No pressure.
Yeah.
So we performed the two sequences, America and Cool. And I was like, well, maybe this is a great chance to kind of be considered for the film down the line.
Right. Was this Justin auditioning for the job?
I don't know if it was him auditioning for the job. I think this was him starting to just,
show them little sprinkles.
Plant a seed.
Yeah.
As to what he has in mind.
Right.
And it was also with the help of Tony, because Tony's book had already kind of been written at his adaptation, and Janine was there to help out too. Both of who I love.
Yeah.
And cut to, that was like July, the next month a few weeks before I started rehearsals for the Hello Dolly tour, I went in for a first audition where I just read general riff jet sides for Cindy, for camera, in front of camera, just, and I sang the jet song.
Right.
Then I'm on tour and with Hello Dolly. We opened in Cleveland, and now we're in Chicago.
Yeah.
We're a few weeks in, and then I get a call that I am asked to come in for a callback for West Side Story. It's on a Monday. I think it's on Monday? Yeah, or on Tuesday. Well, it was early morning, which I was able to get back to Chicago in time for that performance.
Oh my gosh.
But it was a dance call / scene work, and then they asked me to come back in on Friday. So it's like, I had to ask for a personal day of some kind, which was approved. Okay. It didn't have to be, for the right of the tour, but they granted me the approval.
Yeah.
I went back to New York for the final callback.
Yeah.
I took like a 6 a.m. flight from Chicago O'Hare to LaGuardia, got to Gelsey Kirkland's studio down in Dumbo in Brooklyn for the final callbacks. Did a little bit of the dance portion, because they had already seen me dance, so that wasn't their main concern. It was just for me to read. For that point, I was reading for A-Rab.
Oh, okay.
And I remember there was a moment where casting was like, all right, how many of you have the ice sides? People raise their hands. How many of you have the tiger sides? How many of you have the mouthpiece sides? Diesel, so forth and so forth. How many of you have the A-Rab sides? Oh, didn't really see anyone else raising their hand. I was like, I can get this very easily, or I could screw this up very easily.
Yeah.
So I read, and the scene that I had to prepare was the scene in the precinct, which was with Anybody's, and this is when A-Rab is just going in, and he's just saying some mean things. Terrible things.
Right.
And then I remember I read the scene, and it got a laugh, got a reaction, and then Steven said, I don't know if this moves us forward or sets us back 20 years.
How does that move?
Because the material obviously is very provocative. I mean,
I see.
Because what he's saying is obviously, pushing it.
Yeah.
And it's offensive, obviously.
Yeah.
So, but we also had a session during that day of callbacks to where they brought myself in, Kevin Solak, Ben Cook, and a few other guys. And we just improvised and just kind of figured out, just kind of fed off each other's energies for cool. Officer Krupke.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so that was fun. And then that was most of the day. Then I flew back, finished the rest of the run in Chicago. Then we took the next stop was in Miami, so I went down to Miami. And when I landed, I got the call that I got an offer for the movie.
Oh my god!
And my parents, because it was Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
So my parents were down, and I told them that night too. Though it was great.
Yeah,
it was a fun day.
I'm sure that's really exciting.
And then we had a few more months, and then we started in the
spring of 2019. It feels like the scope of that movie was huge before it was even. I mean, to this day, that movie it feels like history. That movie is huge. Everyone loved it. It
was really well received.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because it was still the pandemic, there was a lot of hesitation for those who didn't feel safe going to theaters. So it kind of failed from a financial standpoint too. But I think its resurgence on streaming.
Yeah.
Between Disney Plus.
Yeah.
And
it's history in and of itself, and it got all these Oscar noms.
That was cool. You know what? Funny enough, I remember we were shooting a very quick passage in the film, and it's in the quintet because a lot of the filming was scattered. A lot of things that were one base set location, we were there for a week.
Yeah.
Like at Dance the Gym, there for a full straight week.
Right.
The precinct for Officer Krupke and the scenes before
I imagine
and after.
America too. Yeah.
Well, America was all splattered up because it was various locations.
The
prologue was in various locations.
Okay.
The Jet Song was in some various locations.
Yeah, but Cool was a number that was...
Yeah.
Cool was in one
Cool
place.
was in one location.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was scattered around. And I remember we were doing one passage for the quintet, and I said to the guys, like, you know what, guys? This feels like something that they would show as, like, a flash for, like, if you get nominated for, like, sound design or something like that. And it was that thing.
No way! That is crazy. Oh, my gosh.
I couldn't believe it. I was like...
That is awesome.
That was cool. And the other thing, too, is that during pre-pro for the film, we were at New 42 in Midtown, and they had storyboards, and they had location scouting reports. And I remember I saw one location, and it was going to be for like the exterior of docks and the demolition construction site, too.
Right.
And it said, Patterson. And I said, Patterson? Is this like Patterson, New York? Like, what? No, but it was Patterson because even though I was born in Little Falls, my parents, their parents, everyone grew up in Patterson. My parents still teach in Patterson,
New Jersey.
Patterson, New Jersey. And when we were there, we were in Patterson for about 2.5-3 weeks. And my parents are teachers, and they were doing a summer school program. So they would kind of step outside, and they would just see, Patterson be, retro back to 1957, which was their childhood. Right. So you see vintage cars, you see storefronts, you see vintage clothing. It was really a flashback. It was like really going through like a wormhole.
That is so cool.
A time warp.
That is so cool. Can you talk to me about how much was talked about with the vision that Spielberg had and Kushner had with the idea that this production of West Side Story takes place this movie of West Side Story takes place right after when West Side Story originally took place. So this is post Lincoln Center. That was
this is pre-Lincoln Center.
Oh, it was pre-Lincoln Center.
1957.
But it was right as they were building it, right?
Right as they were building it.
Because they had announced that it was coming. Right. Yes.
Well, the historical context is what kind of makes this adaptation so much fuller.
Right.
Tony was so smart, and obviously in collaboration with Steven. But the historical context makes so much sense.
Right.
And you really kind of have Robert Moses to thank, who was in charge of the whole demolition period, for good or for bad, for New York. Like he really, upended a lot of people, and changed a lot of people's lives that were for better or for worse.
And so now, from what I understand, the original West Side Story, the movie, was filming while this essentially what was happening was
the whole prologue, not the whole prologue, but there's one sequence in the prologue to where the jets are going up. Well, one of the sharks is telling the guys come on boys, they go up this hill.
Yeah.
And then you see they cut to the sharks prepping to throw cabbage and lettuce at the jets. That's on the site of Lincoln Center.
Wow. Wow.
That's on the construction site of Lincoln Center.
So it was, for those who don't know, what was happening was Lincoln Center wasn't built, and they were taking this huge demolition project to get rid of a bunch of these, where everyone in West Side Story lived, and what they were doing was building Lincoln Center, and it was a huge gentrification of the neighborhood. So it's funny though, because if you look at Lincoln Center now, just geographically, you have Lincoln Center, and then right behind it are those, assisted living and certain things like that, where you see a lot of those communities still exist right behind it.
Yeah. But the context of the demolition happening at that time really kind of bruised the stakes more and more for the Jets and the Sharks, because they're both losing their territory.
Right.
And whatever territory is left, that's what they're fighting for.
Yeah, and it's funny because neither one of them are actually in power.
No.
That's the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. They're under the illusion.
Right.
Because they don't have a lot to live for in that case.
Right.
A lot of them are living through scraps and stuff like that too, especially the Jets. And then the Sharks actually are much more successful in their own careers. They just happen to kind of, form a group to kind of defend their territory and their culture too.
Right.
But the Jets really come from scraps and nothing. Like low poverty. From that case. But the storylines and the through lines that make, oh my goodness, what I remember during pre-pro, and we were doing Cool, and it was a whole sequence with the gun, and how Riff gets possession of the gun for the Rumble as a safety, and that is the same gun that at the end of the film is what Chino shoots Tony with.
Yeah.
Who could have guessed? Who could have thought of that? Yeah. Only Tony Kushner could have thought of that.
Yeah.
And I tell people this all the time. One thing about him, because obviously he wrote a very in-depth and very thorough script that had a lot of great context, historical context. But aside from just the screenplay that he penned, he also took time to write backstories for each and every Jet, each and every Shark, each and every Jet girl, each and every Shark girl. And other supporting characters alike too.
Wow.
Paragraphs.
Wow.
Pages.
Yeah.
Like my backstory was like half a page. I could not believe the amount of work that someone could provide to their actors, because sometimes actors like to find the information themselves and inform themselves, and that will kind of inform their intentions and choices and stuff as a character. With Tony, he did all of the work. He did all the work, and Steven did all of the work. They gave us so much ammunition. They really, 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 really did to just kind of drive it forward.
Yeah.
I was so impressed, and I just couldn't believe. And it was almost semi-autobiographical. Like, he understood quirks of me. He understood, habits and things and emotions and things too. It's like, does he know me? Does he follow me after rehearsal? I could not believe it.
And talk to me about Justin Peck's spin on all of this.
Justin was obviously a huge collaborator on this, because he could think very quickly on about different ideas and stuff too, and he obviously has a great sense of storytelling through movement. But I think what's very interesting, and this is also with the collaboration of Janusz Kaminski, who was our cinematographer. In the original film, like a lot of traditional films at that time, there were grand scheme kind of, master shots of stuff that was kind of still, very little movement and stuff too. Janusz did not want any of that. He wanted the dance and the camera to move as one for a lot of this stuff. So they worked hand in hand on that kind of collaboration. So I was excited to see that. When it came to the pre-production and rehearsals for those dance sequences, those were the only things that Steven rehearsed, as far as I know. He was there with his iPhone, of all things. Cool. Just capturing different shot ideas and stuff too, to where he had a lot of things just ready in his back pocket as to what he wanted to do.
Right.
But when it came to scene work, it was very, very, very little rehearsal. When it came to the precinct sequence that anybody's, gets so riled up that they go on any A-Rab and just kind of all that scene work, there was very little. I think for a director, you want that vulnerability from an actor, because that is the most human quality that will translate to camera.
Right.
So he really had me at the palm of his hand. He really was just like, calm down, let's try a different thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I was very nervous, but I think that's kind of what he wanted.
Yeah.
Because when it's a high stakes situation, you want to see the human condition, really, fully fledged out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. Talk to me about the difference between dancing on screen and dancing on stage. How are you adapting? I mean, obviously, and this is why I asked about Justin too within that space, but also how are you guys adapting your movement?
That's a good question. Some people have.
And this applies for Smash too.
I mean, all some people have. I know some people have the answers to where they're a little different because you don't have to work. The execution is not as fully fleshed out on camera as it is on stage. But I think that nowadays there are so many elements to where both kind of had the same illusion, I suppose.
Right.
To where dance on stage, you can isolate, you can force a focus with lighting and a way a dancer has a certain pose or a gesture of their body to where they have to be at a certain angle and stuff too.
Right.
The specificity, I think, of live theaters has that isolation, but also you do have a big proscenium, so you're fully exposed. Mm-hmm. On camera, you can hide a little bit here and there depending on what angle they're looking for too. But when it comes to camera and choreography on camera, obviously there's a certain way a dancer is moving that they want to capture through a certain angle,
right?
Be it up, down, side,
right?
And the way that the actor or dancer has to project that to the camera.
Yeah.
You're just trying to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
That sweet spot.
Are you in any way limiting your movement according to the camera to make it more precise toward exactly what you're talking about?
Yeah, you can.
These, and you have these really nice lines. I mean, that's what that Newsies picture is.
Thank you.
No, you really do. You really do. And you just like when I think about that Newsies picture, that's what that is, right? It's like these long lines. But in a way, I imagine that some of that, I think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that some of those lines become a little bit more relaxed, for lack of a better word, in terms of because the camera doesn't pick it up in the same
I could see that, but I think also the relaxation of the face too, that's always a big thing too.
Yeah.
Because if it's a close up and if it's something that's like in slow motion or in like mid motion or something like that,
right,
you want to capture the face too, because that is probably the one thing that any audience member, be it if they're a dance expert or not, to the naked eye, is gonna react to, if anything.
Yeah.
So I can understand, the relaxation and stuff too, but obviously the focus, and the other thing too with live theater, once you've hit that moment, you gotta move on.
Yeah.
With film, once they find that moment, and once they find a few options and a few choices of the same moment, then they find that sweet spot.
You can sit in it.
You can sit in it.
Yeah.
And then you know that you got it.
Right.
And then you can move on.
Yeah.
Because there are some directors that will really use the time wisely, be efficient,
right,
and only give you a few takes to give it a go.
Yeah.
And some will just kind of, let's manifest on this. Let's kind of let's eat in this a little bit more.
Yeah. No, so interesting. I love that. And the movie, in my opinion, is, it was in that year too of like Heights and Tick Tick Boom came short, maybe in that same fiscal season.
It was a great season.
And those movie musicals, I just feel like the movie musicals lately have been phenomenal. Wicked, right? I mean, like but I do think that West Side Story set this strange precedent for maybe what we'll consider to be a resurgence of things.
I hope so.
It's a beautiful movie.
I was really proud of that movie, and because when it comes to, and listen, I'm just gonna be preface right now. I'm just saying, I'm biased.
Sure.
But when it comes to the movie musicals that have really kind of cemented their status in the 21st century.
Yeah.
And I can go as far back as Chicago,
right?
Dreamgirls,
yeah. Cabaret.
Cabaret was like the 70s or something like that.
Yeah, it's even further back.
It's even further back.
Yeah.
but just like from the 21st century.
You're saying 21st. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
This new, obviously this new century of movie musicals.
Yes.
I mean, for the effectiveness and just a huge splash that La La Land provided.
Right.
West Side Story. Wicked,
even instances of The Greatest Showman.
Yes, there are so many movie musicals now that can really appeal to a broad audience, and I feel like, again, it's just bringing audiences together.
Yeah,
that's the thing too, because if you can bring, because I was, because as an alumni of Cats, I went to go see Cats in the movie theaters.
Sure.
And I know that people had divisive feelings and polarizing feelings about that film adaptation.
Right.
And you chew the meat and you spit out the bones in those cases. Just like, I liked some things. I didn't like
Francesca,
everything.
for example.
Yeah.
I thought she was brilliant.
Yeah, I liked some things. Like, I love Robbie Fairchild because I think he's just one of the most genuine dancers and performers, who's just has such a beautiful spirit.
Yep.
And just to see him on camera in that role was so fantastic.
Ian McKellen was great in that movie.
Yeah. But like, just you take what you take and appreciate what you like, and you just like disregard all the other things too.
Right.
Which I feel like going back to the subjectivity of art, it's just like that's just the kind of thing that we always kind of break apart with it. It's like you don't have to break everything apart all the time. You don't.
Right.
You don't.
Right.
You don't. I mean, you can, and if you're going to, have the empathy and understanding that maybe someone's not going to see eye to eye with you about this.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, but when it came to West Side, I know that there was a lot of people who had such a great appreciation for the work that went into it. But I'm very proud and I'm really happy to see how movie musicals are really kind of moving along and just finding a new generation, because like Wicked 20 years ago, now you still have that generation that grew up with it, and now you have a new generation.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So it's exciting to kind of be a part of.
And there's so many coming too. There's so many, and it doesn't mean everyone has to be a hit, but it's exciting that there's interest, and there's exciting that there's a lot of for these movie musicals, because I do think they're important, and I do think that they introduce the country to musicals if they can't, one, afford them, but two, if they're not from here, if they're Midwest or where, you can go see that movie and bask in the, oh gosh, I hope one day I get to go to New York and I get to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I think it's great for theater. I want to talk a little bit about Beautiful Noise.
Yeah.
After West Side Story, tell me about how Beautiful Noise came to you.
This was right after.
I saw you in Beautiful Noise, by the way. You're fantastic.
Did you? Oh, thank you. This happened right after West Side Story, funny enough.
Oh, really?
I did this was right after we wrapped. I was doing a production of Footloose in D.C., and the music director for that was Sonny Palladino, who we had mutual friends from different shows and stuff. And then he recommended me for a reading of Neil Diamond in like November of 2019.
Oh.
And then I did that, and that was fun. And then I did another reading with a fuller cast. And Bob Gaudio, who was one of the original Four Seasons, was one of the producers. Ken Davenport, one of the producers.
Yes.
And that second reading, Neil came to. And this was going to be either, fish or cut bait. This was going to be either he's going to give his blessing, or he's going to be like, no.
Right.
And he gave his blessing, which was great.
Oh, nice.
And he loved it, of course.
Yeah.
And then we did a dance lab, and that led up right to March 12th of 2020.
Wow.
So we were on hiatus for a little bit, which was, we just waited, took our time. And then come October 2021, we reconvened for a 4-week workshop.
Okay.
Now, because the out-of-town in Boston at the Colonial was slated to go in summer of 2020, so that got pushed to 2022.
Okay, sure.
We did the workshop, which was well needed, because if we had just done the dance lab prior to the beginning of the pandemic without another workshop, I don't know how good the show would have been.
Talk to me about how crucial those workshops are and why they're so important.
Pivotal.
Yeah.
Pivotal. Because, if your show's not going to go out of town, you need the room. You need the extra room to, figure a show out, especially if it's a new musical. But, albeit that it was a jukebox musical with with the preconceived catalog.
Yeah.
But still, nonetheless, it's still a dramatic, narrative about, a real life figure.
Right.
You're trying to figure out how to convey his life to an audience in a theatrical setting.
Right.
So in that workshop, it was really the first time that we really kind of sunk our teeth into the choreography, and that was Stephen Hoggett, who was our choreographer.
He did Harry Potter.
Harry Potter,
Cabaret.
No, he didn't do Cabaret. He did Curious
Incident. Yes,
Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime, Once, Harry Potter, American Idiot.
And he just did something too. Was it? He didn't. I can't remember.
But he comes from.
Was it Merrily? No, I
don't think so.
No, I don't know.
He did Last Ship.
Oh, okay, sure.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But he has, what I consider to be such a great asset for any choreographer is that he has his own signature style.
Yeah.
That if you see his style, you know exactly who it is.
Yeah.
You know exactly who it is, but he still surprises you, which is a testament to his creativity and his genius and his artistry. He is amazing. But his process is very thorough.
Yeah.
And it's very engaging to all the actors because, he wants to earn he wants to earn our respect, towards, he really wants to, make sure that we all feel safe and comfortable because he has a cast of actors who are not necessarily dancers per se.
Right.
He has a mixed bag. Some are more technical dancers, some are more movement centric, some are just non-movers. So how do you kind of find a blend? So through that blend, his process is very collaborative, to where you're really kind of forming the movement yourself.
Yeah.
You're forming it with others. You're learning other choreography from other actors.
Right.
You're putting it together. You're combining things. You're combining different things to where you have a really hefty amount of material. Mm-hmm. So much to where you have to discard a lot of it.
Right.
Which is a good thing to have. But it takes a lot of focus and energy.
Right.
So we were definitely going through the ringer. It was all worth it.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a challenge to get a grasp of it before you can really kind of embrace the process.
Right.
Which is all part of the journey.
Yeah.
And I appreciated that aspect because one would probably use the jukebox musical to kind of have a quintessential style of the jukebox musical, because we've kind of gone through these avenues multiple times, a lot with songwriters and artists that have gone through the Brill Building, that have gone through the charts and the Billboard culture, 70s culture, 80s culture. How do you find a new way of interpreting the same era and the decades through a different lens? And I think Steven's choreography was part of it because the noise... That's how, and we just, started calling ourselves the Noise, and that stuck. And how we formed that first act was a pivotal act for all of us to kind of start to use movement to understand Neil's mind and to forward the story and to support his story in that way too, through the movement, and then the second act was not so much more of noise from a figurative sense, but from a literal sense to where he had true support on stage, be it when he was at his highest success as a touring act and he had dancers.
There was that number in Act 2 where the choreo is all fast and super.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
Stadium medley.
Oh, man, it is so... I remember that number, and I remember being like... blown away because it's we were sitting really close too, and I just remember being like, oh my gosh.
We all learned it very slow, and then Steven was like, all right, we're gonna do this 10 times faster.
Oh man, because it's very little movements.
Yes, but the purpose of that was it was to represent Neil's really just kind of like this zip, this lightning speed of constant touring,
right?
To where you're not even realizing what you're doing anymore. Mm-hmm. Like you're just doing all this movement.
Right.
And just going through the movement of just life itself on the road for him, too.
Yeah. There was a lot. It was an exciting number, and it was an exciting moment in the show. Because
that's a fun number. Crunchy Granola Sweet's a fun number.
It was one of those where the show, at Act 2, you start to feel this energy where you're starting to see where it's going, but then that moment really shocks you.
Yeah.
And I was there the night that... gosh, I'm blanking on his name, but he was the cover, and he went on for the first time. He was the cover for Nick already. This was like later in the run. And
Alec,
Alec, Alec.
Max,
Oh my god, no, it was
Alec.
It was Alec, and it was his first time on.
Wow.
It was such an electric crowd, and he was sobbing, and his mom was there. It was so sweet. It was really sweet.
You went to a good show.
It was a great show. It was a great show.
But I mean, that show, I was proud because I had been a part of it on and off for 5 years before opening night.
Oh wow.
Well, no, I'm sorry. By closing night, it was like
right.
5 years.
You guys ran a long time, and you opened and closed it, right?
Yes, and I took a 4-week leave of absence to go to Jersey Boys up at the Rev, and I actually came back in time to close it out.
Oh, nice. Talk to me about being a dance captain and those responsibilities and what that entailed.
Well, obviously, there's a lot of preparation and information and materials that you need to have on hand at any given time.
Right.
For me, Robert was a great person to kind of refer to as well because he had already been a dance captain prior to.
Yeah.
And so when it came to cut tracks and split shows and split tracks, he was incredibly intelligent on just the ins and outs, how we need to kind of figure out and fine tune what tracks we need for these kind of transitions and props and stuff and all that stuff too. And I learned so much as far as understanding people's just energies as far as how to give information, make sure that it's just the information itself.
Yeah.
And then there was also a sense of just making sure that everyone was just at ease because every day, because a Broadway show, when you do 8 shows a week, it's like a newspaper. You never know what you're going to get as far as someone might be out.
Right.
That same person might be out a couple times.
Right.
So you might have a split track.
Yeah.
And then we also had COVID in the middle of this too.
Yes. Right.
So there was a lot of different elements and hurdles and obstacles that we kind of had to jump over.
Yeah.
But it only made Robert and I stronger and connect even more to make sure that we were
as leaders.
Yeah. And to communicate with stage management and all the other departments too. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
It made us realize that we're part of a much bigger thing and that we just we want to make sure that's, and bottom line is that safety is the biggest thing. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Long Live Beautiful Noise. It's on tour right now.
It's on tour right now, and it just recouped, which is fantastic.
Oh, fantastic! That's amazing.
I mean, it's just a testament of just Neil, and Neil was just always so supportive. He came to opening night. Yeah. His wife, Katie, has just been so sweet and so supportive. Has flown back and forth a bunch of times.
Oh, that's great.
We have tremendous support from the Neil fans who just love him.
Yeah.
Unabashedly, they just love his music.
Yeah.
And what we knew is that with the show in New York, it was gonna be great to bring the show to Broadway, but for those who couldn't come to Broadway, the show could come to them.
Yeah.
And the tour is doing
even better,
doing like gangbusters
Broadway.
out
Yeah,
there.
for sure. Okay, let's talk about Schmigadoon. Schmigadoon. Did you watch the show? I imagine.
I watched the show during the pandemic.
Yeah, it was one of those culty hits, right? Yes. It was one of those where if you knew, you were watching it, and it got picked up for a second season and whatnot, and it was so fun, and it was so I especially that first season, I really just had a blast watching it. And it's just short and sweet, 6 episodes, which is kind of perfect for a musical. 6 half-hour episodes, 3 hours. It's like kind of like perfect. So talk to me about how you got involved in this.
It was just a call. They were like, "Hey, are you around to do this production?" I was like,
"Nice,
yeah, sure."
And Chris was directing and choreographing.
Yes, he was, and I knew who the principal cast was, but I didn't know who the ensemble cast was. That wasn't announced. So we showed up on day 1, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm cloud 9. This is perfect."
Yeah,
it was like Eloise Kropp, Richard Yoder, Philip Atmore, Max Clayton.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
That I had too good of a time.
It looked so much fun.
It was a ball.
Yeah.
And I was, again, another one of those shows similar to On the Town where I was just peeing myself the entire time.
Yeah.
I was laughing.
It's such a funny show. It's so talk to me about how things changed in terms of adapting this TV show to the stage.
Well, it's tricky because you have like 6 or 8 episodes of episodic with character arcs and stuff too. They had to kind of, condense into a 2.5 hour.
And it's the first season.
But I think they did a pretty bang up job on just trying to put all these characters and story arcs and all that stuff together, and it was amazing. I mean, for the ensemble, it was fun because I got to play Pete.
Nice.
So I was like, oh yeah, Pete, that's right, the guy who gets injured all the time, which was fun. I loved. And
true musical comedy.
The audience ate it up.
Yeah.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a testament to Cinco Paul, who created the show.
Right.
And wrote the score for the show, and then obviously adapted it for the stage. I mean, he's so talented, and such a sweetheart too. Like, he's just so thankful to everyone who is part of his crazy idea.
Yeah.
And just the audience, because we were at the Kennedy Center, so it was obviously it was a very peculiar time to be at the Kennedy Center, but it was the perfect thing for the Kennedy Center to have at that moment,
right?
To just have some
it's removed
exactly,
yeah.
And it was just so much fun to see audience members just come and enjoy, just have a great time.
Yeah, and I imagine it's looking to transfer as well, and hopefully it will.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. We had Brad Oscar on to chat about.
Did you?
Yeah, and he chatted about this interesting thing, and I want to ask you about this in terms of it not being considered, and in your brain not thinking for it to be parodical, and for you to think about living truthfully in the style to then support the comedy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for my sake too. I mean, like, you know, it doesn't take much for me to act like an idiot on stage. Like, you know, the choreography lends itself to that, and you know, we're not taking ourselves too seriously in that case too. Right. I mean, not from a parody sense, but too, but like, this is a very happy-go-lucky town, Schmigadoon. Right. Like, people are very cheery and like, it's very easy to just get into that mood and just like yuck it up. I mean, like, yuck it up for all the right reasons. Right. And I think Chris Gatelli really casted the right people. And like, I'm like, all of us are getting away with murder in that show. Like, we are doing the craziest things. Yeah. I mean, Mackenzie Kurtz, she is such amazing. Yeah. Like, the cast, the principal cast was fantastic, and the audience ate up the material. And like, doing corn pudding and just slapping my thighs like this, and just with a big grin on my face. So fun. I just could not get over how much fun that cast was. Yeah. And it was short-lived because we only had 2 weeks of rehearsal, and then and you were publicized. There was a workshop or no? I don't think there was a workshop. Okay. Because if there was, I wasn't involved with it. It's so funny because there was 2 weeks of rehearsal, but you guys were right. It was like, well, and it was a very interesting thing because for the Kennedy Center at the time, through their Broadway Center Stage program division, they only have they do repertoire. They do shows that have already existed. Right. So for a new musical to go through that same channel, how cool? Not easy. Oh. Not easy because you want to try. You're trying to work on a new musical. Right. But you only have a finite amount of time to get it done in the studio. You only have 2.5 days of tech. Right. So right. And you're putting this thing up on its. Yeah. But it didn't matter because the audience, I think, because they were already true fans of the show. Yeah. And they were so willing and eager to see. And even if you're not, the story is pretty clear, and Brigadoon, or if you don't know Brigadoon, the style. So it's a blast. It was so much fun, and I literally just got to be a clown for 2.5 hours. How great! Oh, loved it. Loved it. Okay, I want to talk to you about your teaching, and you teach at Steps, and I want to talk to you about what you're thinking about in terms of teaching, and if there's any specific styles that you are thinking about in going to. In prepping for your classes. Oh, well, I mean, it's always about the music for me sometimes. It's just like what music kind of moves me. Yeah. Molecularly, I should say. It's just, from an arrangement standpoint, from a vocal standpoint, from a style standpoint, it kind of informs my movement. I kind of have, a nice, tight, strong vocabulary of movement that I kind of, use and retain and, repeat a bunch of times. Yeah. But yeah, no, it was about the music because I can, that is the key factor. That's the motivation, and then, because my movement, it's very quick-footed, I should say. Sure. So in that sense, for dancers who have such a great array of expertise and versatility as far as different styles too, I think it's just a nice change up for them too, which is fun. Right. I always get a kick out of seeing people just try. I'd rather you be strong and wrong than just be. Yeah. Hesitant and right. Yeah, for sure. No, just go for it. How often do you teach? Infrequently. I sub here and there. I don't have a permanent slot at Steps, but I do post about it on my social media, on my Instagram, so that's fun. Great. But I enjoy teaching. I just choreographed a piece for the conservatory up at Steps, the Steps Conservatory. Oh, cool. And I'm so happy they just premiered their show, the piece, it's called The Country Hams at Perry Dance. Very cool. So, I mean, I enjoy doing that stuff. It's great. I always get back, like at my high school and stuff, going back to the competition earlier. Right. My sister is a choreographer. She used to choreograph shows for my high school. I sometimes chip in for choreography. Anyway, to get back, I mean, I lived so close to the city growing up that, to have that luxury of just a bus ride. Being right here. Right here. Yeah. So I was, and even for the education, school district in Patterson, that's where my parents teach at. Yeah. Just to get back there. How interested are you in choreographing professionally and all of that other stuff? Is that something of it that's of interest to you? Absolutely. Well, the key thing is, the goal is to kind of try to juggle all of them at once. Right. It's a one thing.
Yeah, sure.
Like, because you have people like, this is going back to ways, but like a George M. Cohan, and then like a modern day of that would be Tommy Tune back in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
These are people who obviously had great talents to oversee a production from the creative side, but also know how to present themselves on stage too.
Right.
I always have desires to kind of, try to find that, that balance.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep all the plates spinning at the same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love learning new tricks of the trade. Like, being an associate choreographer and being an assistant choreographer is such an interesting position, and it's such a fun title to have, because you get to communicate with just kind of understand people's visions and stuff too, and just kind of translate that vision to other people too. It's exciting. I mean, like, it makes you a stronger artist overall. For
sure. I was just about to say that. I love that. Talk to me about dance call tips. Dance calls are something that, especially for those who aren't dancers, is something that feels dreaded even more than the actual audition. And I think it has to do with because you have to do it in front of everyone.
Well, yeah. I mean, the other thing too is like, I say this to young aspiring performers who are like in conservatories or colleges, college programs. You have to remember that the people behind the table, they're having these auditions. Mm-hmm. If no one shows up, they don't have a show.
Right.
They don't have a show.
Right.
So they need you to be in their show.
Yep, that's right.
So you have a little bit more power than you think in the room.
Yeah.
So hold on to that. Mm-hmm. Never lose sight of that.
Right.
Because in the end, that's what's gonna help you further along and to where you can feel more comfortable and at ease. And because there can be a lot of anxious energy and tension and stuff too, and stress that's not needed, because at the end of the day, it's a dance class.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of going through the motions.
Well, the other special thing about dance calls is that you're being taught that makes it different, is that you're being taught the combo and then having to present it. And for me, I know I've always struggled with retention of the choreo and making sure that I can memorize it and then also be able to present it at my best. What would you say are the biggest helps in terms of retention, in terms of picking it up?
Well, one thing always, any person who's teaching you a combination in a dance call, be it if it's an assistant choreographer, a dance captain, a choreographer, whatnot, associate, always ask the questions. That is number one. Always ask the questions.
Yeah.
And always listen to other people's questions.
Yeah.
Because they might ask a question that you didn't even think about asking.
Right.
And then, like, let's say that you understand a good portion, but not the entire, combination of something.
Yeah.
Which is perfectly natural, because, you're learning a piece of choreography in a very short amount of time. So in those situations, like I said before, just to reiterate, like, I'd rather see someone be strong and wrong in their intentions in the movement than having to worry about what's coming up next. Because in those moments, and this, I remember Jerry Zach said this to me, this is from an acting standpoint, but I think it applies to choreography too. Mm-hmm. The greatest actors are the ones who don't know what comes up on the next page.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So you're always, you have the material so well that you get that information down to where you can just live in the moment.
That is such a great point.
Brando, you see that in acting.
Yeah.
You do not hear that in dance calls in that metaphor.
Right.
That's really smart. Yeah.
It's almost like using the fact that you, it's almost like using the spontaneity of it.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But also knowing your spatial awareness and stuff too, because it is a dance call.
Yeah, well,
But I think people really appreciate dancers who can really perform.
Yeah.
The material. It's not just a kick and a turn and a jump.
Of course.
There's a style to it, and as you get older, there's you understand more stylization from your own facility. Right. So that's what I say to dancers. Like, listen, I am not a very leggy ballet dancer. I am not.
Sure.
I have to use the facility that God gave me.
Yeah, sure.
So with that, I mean, I have to, try to find ways to compensate or find ways to overemphasize the ways I need to, but as clean as I can to where it doesn't make me even smaller. That's what You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting. Yeah.
No, because you're a nice, tall.
Yeah, sure.
You're tall.
Yes.
I'm not.
Sure.
So you have nice lines. You know how to use your lines and stuff too. But you also, because you're a tapper too, you have nice groundedness. You know how to use your feet and stuff too.
I would hope so. I think that it's it's one of those things. I go, well, I have these long lines, but sometimes they just hang like this. They don't really even.
That's why at my class, like a lot of stuff is like down the floor.
Yeah.
Down the floor.
Yeah.
Because it's like, sometimes I have tall dancers who, I'm just like, all right, let's get you down. Yeah. Keep your eyes on the stars when your feet on the ground. Let's go.
Yeah. Keep your eyes on the stars, feet on the ground.
Harvey Firesteed.
Okay, we have to, I'm usually going in this sequence, but I just remembered this story. When I was 10 years old, Tommy Bracco came to our children's theater, and he sat and he told us this story about a certain Jess LeProtto falling in the pit of Newsies. You have to tell the whole story because it is unbelievable.
I told the whole thing. It was I remember the day. Saturday, January 26, 2013, 2:00 Saturday matinee.
Oh my good, a Saturday matinee.
Yeah, Saturday matinee.
What a lucky audience.
So what happened was Ryan Steele, who originated the role of Specs, if you remember Newsies, had the signature moment where in Sees a Day takes the sheet of newspaper, does it turns in second, then spirals.
Iconic.
Continuous rotation of turns, and the audience went berserk. Huge crowd pleaser every night.
Yeah.
Ryan left the show after a year to go do the original production of Matilda. So John Michael Fiumara was going to be replacing Ryan as Specs. But while he was rehearsing, they had swings, Michael Fatica, Jack Scott.
Right.
A few, and I think we had Julian de Guzman, and we had JB Ferrari. And they will kind of tag in and stuff to do Specs' track. But for a swing to have to worry about that moment every night in the middle while John Michael is still being rehearsed is a lot of pressure, especially for swings who have to, if there's a split track and stuff too, they have to worry about that. Like, okay. So they asked me if I'd be willing to step in just for that moment out of my own track just to do that moment for the time being. I said, yeah, of course. But obviously you're dealing with an inanimate object. That's what it is.
Right.
That's what it is.
Being the newspaper.
Yes. And just having to turn on that is a whole different world. It's not easy.
Yeah.
Because you're dealing with a whole other person, basically.
Right.
And I remember...
That's unpredictable.
Yes, it is unpredictable. And this very performance, I was downstage center for this moment. I felt my weight started to go forward.
Oh, boy.
I fell headfirst into the orchestra pit, into the conductor's hole. Mark Hummel, who was our music director and our conductor, broke my landing. He caught me with his left hand, still had the baton in his right hand to conduct the show.
Unbelievable.
I found out during Schmigadoon, one of our music directors, Stephen Malone, was the associate music director for Newsies. He was on keyboard 1.
Oh my God.
He actually helped me as well. So, but then if you know the show, what happens is that after that, there are 3 tumbling crosses that happen from left to right within the span of like 10 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
So my adrenaline is kicking. My mind's going a million miles per hour.
Right.
I'm like, somehow or other, my adrenaline was really kicking to where I was like, somehow I got myself back on my feet, and I was like, okay, my mind's just like going berserk. I'm like, I can go through the underpass and make it up to the wing before I, to get on stage, but I won't make it in time. Right. So I step on.
And you're thinking this while you're in his hands?
Yes. Everything's happening so quickly.
Yeah.
I step on the keyboard with my foot. I step on the net of the pit, which is above, which held my weight.
Right.
And I see Andy Richardson come right past me, do the final tumbling cross. I do a dive roll into the tableau, and I hit the button of the number.
Boom!
You have to tell me it was done.
And the audience
hit that button.
And the audience went berserk. And like Tommy and a lot of other Newsies who were on stage who saw me fall into the pit, they're like, "Oh, he's not getting up. He's not getting up. Oh,
right.
No, he's not getting up. He's getting up. He's getting up. He's getting up."
And hits that damn button.
But can I tell you that's not the only time I fell into the pit?
What? Just what are you doing?
This was not during a show. This was during tech for Hello Dolly. We were doing in tech rehearsals, and a lot of choreography at one time during the Waiter's Gallop was consisting of stuff on the passerelle. And Stephen Hanna, who was in the ensemble too, had fallen to the pit 15 minutes before I did. He did, because they're staggered dessert carts. He's downstage center, and then me and Michael Hartung. We're doing 8 paddle turns on these dessert carts, and then we do a second jump off the dessert carts. Steven has to do a second jump off the dessert cart, land on the passerelle of the pit.
Oh my gosh.
He fell like a backwards cannonball into the hole, conductor's hole, but there was boxes piled up and coiled wire.
Oh.
And it broke his landing, and then he went to the emergency room and got an X-ray, and he was perfectly fine.
Gosh.
So after they took him and they put plywood over it, we had to continue teching, and then I had to do a double tuck jump to the left on the passerelle, and I landed kind of like in a hammock shape on the net, and one of the prop guys quickly gave me his hand, and I saw his hand, and I tried to get it in time before the knots around the pit started to come undone.
Oh my gosh.
It was like an Indiana Jones sequence.
Yeah, that's insane. Were you hurt after the Newsies fall?
A little bruising.
Okay.
But actually that night, Nigel Lithgow was coming to the show.
Who's coming?
Nigel Lithgow from So
So You Think You Can Dance. Oh my gosh.
So I was like, well, just try not to fall into
Pull it together.
Tonight. Yeah,
right. I love that. That story is unbelievable. I've been hearing that story for...
It is part of Broadway.
Now to hear it from the source is pretty special. Hit that button no matter what. Okay, I want to start normalizing asking this question, but it's even more prevalent with you. If you had to give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
It's going to be okay.
Oh, yeah?
It's going to be okay.
Were you stressed as a young?
Well, you always had the eagerness. You want to be successful, and you want success that comes sooner than you think. Than you're ready.
Tell me about it.
You want success to come much faster than you're ready for it. You know what I'm saying?
That's interesting.
Yeah. So it will come. It will come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Sure.
It takes time, and you learn a lot of things along the way, which will inform your mindset, which will help ready you for when that moment comes.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I love that.
So take your time, kids. It's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good. Enjoy the moment of just experiencing things and being in the moment, being with people that you love, to work with family who you love, and when you have the chance to be on stage, don't take it for granted. And even though, because sometimes people say, they get bored because it's an 8-show week schedule, just like, oh, you're doing the same show. Find something new as far as your intention goes.
Right.
The audience is different too, so you can use that as well. I mean, there are so many other
plenty of things. Yeah, I love that. I love that answer. You've done so much. You're such a veteran at this point, Jess. What are you interested in? What do you want to do next?
As far as other things I would like to do, during the pandemic, I actually got very invested in songwriting.
Oh.
And one of my former professors, Eric Price from Pace University, and his writing partner, Will Reynolds, started a program called this MT Space, and it's for aspiring writers, theater artists, and stuff too.
Yeah.
And I took an 8-week writing intensive, and that kind of, opened my mind to that possibility.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that I was really kind of inspired subconsciously by a lot of musicians, dance arrangers, music supervisors, vocal arrangers, orchestrators, and stuff too, that kind of informed my appreciation for music and how I kind of see, my way of songwriting too.
Wow.
So I'm putting together an album out right now. It's going to be coming out probably in late summer, like mid-August.
How cool is that? What is the album called? Can you say?
By the Bay.
By the Bay.
It's a summer vibe.
I love it. I love it. Hey, congratulations. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's so exciting. Hey, Jess, have you played with AI at all? Have you ever played with AI?
Gemini on Google.
Oh, okay. Sure. So because this podcast is called I Want to Be Like You, we do a segment called AI Want to Be Like You. I
love that.
What we decided to do was I asked AI knows a lot about you. I asked AI to write me a couple of little descriptions, little riddle-like descriptions for numbers that you've performed in on Broadway.
Okay.
And or on Broadway or in film or regionals, all the things. Okay.
Right.
And so I'll give you a little bit and you take a guess. Ready?
Perfect.
Here we go. I'm a rebel. Some of them I worry are a little easy, but let's do it. Here we go. I'm a rebel's charge with leaps so bold, spinning tales of grit in papers sold. With flips and turns, I seize the fight. When am I storming the night?
Newsies?
Yeah, and bonus points if you know the number.
Seize the day?
Yeah, okay, off to a good start. Okay. I'm a dapper prance in a world of charm. With elegant strides, I disarm. In a matchmaker's glow, I twirl with zest. What am I? Dressed in my best.
Hello, Dolly.
Yeah. Do you know the number? This number.
Oh, Sunday Close?
Sunday Close. That's right. You weren't in that one, but.
That's all right. That was good.
We're counting it.
Very good.
Yeah, it was pretty good. AI's doing pretty good so far. I'm a dreamy whirl where lovers soar with balletic grace on a fair ground floor. In a hopeful spin, I weave romance. What am I? In a wistful dance.
Carousel.
Yes, that's right.
Fairground, that's why.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's a ballet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm a rockin' beat where teens collide with twists and shouts. I'm a youth's wild pride. In a retro romp, I set feet free. What am I? Buzzing with glee.
It's Bye Bye Birdie.
It sure is.
Is it sincere?
It's livin'.
Oh, livin', that's right, yeah.
I'm a soulful groove with a retro beat where memories sway and stories meet. In a singer's rise, I move with heart. What am I? A diamond's art.
Oh. Wow, Neil Diamond.
Yeah, they gave that one away. I was trying to change it.
That's
I was trying to see
very
if yeah, that was pretty good. I'm a slinking duet with a roguish spark. Pilfering steps in the moonlight dark with jazzy tricks I dodge and weave. What am I? For thieves who deceive.
Oh.
This one's a little tricky.
I was going to say Cats.
That's right.
Mungo Jerry.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes
That's
sense.
right, Mungo Jerry. I'm a knee-slapping hoedown, all rustic and spry, with townsfolk twirling neath a sunny sky. In a quirky meal's praise, I kick up some fun. What am I? Where a dish is the one. This one's also a little tricky, and I think for the audience, this one's a little tricky.
I was
but
going
we
to say
discussed
Hello
it.
Dolly again.
No, it's not Dolly. We did discuss it, though. It's a little specific.
A dish?
A dish.
A dish.
A dish, maybe that rhymes with foreign pudding.
Oh, Schmigadoon.
Schmigadoon, corn pudding. All right, last one. I'm a rowdy romp with a mocking grin where street toughs jest at the fix they're in. In a locked up spree, I sass the law's face. What am I with steps that disgrace?
Wait, say it again? I just want you.
Do it again. I'm a rowdy romp with a mocking grin where street toughs jest at the fix they're in. In a locked up spree, I sass the law's face. What am I with steps that disgrace?
Oh, I was gonna say the Grinch.
No.
Huh.
I'm trying to think of like a clever hint that I could give you. I should have asked AI.
Oh, what shows have we not covered? Is it West Side?
It is West Side. Do you know what number?
Is it Krupke?
It's Krupke. There you go. That was I Want to Be Like You.
All right. You said grin. I was like, oh, is that like a Grinch grin?
Yeah. We ask this question every time. Yes, I know. We ask this question every time. We want to manifest a dream guest. You, in and of itself, feel like a dream guest. I have to tell you honestly, because
that's very nice.
No, I mean it because I've been a fan of yours for so long, and also I've been in rooms with you and all this stuff. So we wanted you on the show for a while, but we manifest a dream guest to sit in this chair every time. Give me anyone. Manifest a dream guest first. We're big into manifestation.
Well, I guess. Well, to ask dead or alive would be a moot point. You want someone who's living, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's a lot. That's the thing. Well, I can't just pick one. Do I have to pick one?
No, you don't have to. The more, the merrier.
I mean, like, if you, Jesse Mueller, I would say. Jerry Zaks, I would say.
He's given us the greats.
I would say Ahmad Simmons, who is a fantastic performer. I did Carousel and Cats. He was in Illinois recently.
Yeah.
He is just a phenomenal artist.
Yeah.
Who else?
I love those three. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you like those?
I'll take it. Yeah.
Right.
Those are great. Thank
Very
you.
Nice.
Thank you. We love it. We love it. And they're all new. That's right. And our last question when we started this podcast, we asked you who your I Want to Be Like You as a kid was, and now we want to ask you who is your I Want to Be Like You now. And it doesn't have to be a celebrity or anything like that. It could be someone in your family.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's a great question. Yeah, I mean,
it's a tough question.
It is a tough question. But I would say, I can only say as a benefactor, to great parents, I can only aspire to be as great as my parents were. Parents are, but growing up, I can only hope to be like them. So when I have kids, that I can, that I can have a great example to live up to.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's super special. Jess LeProtto, he's a class act, the greatest. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. So much. I appreciated this.
Woo, woo, woo. I want to be like Jess LeProtto. I Want to Be Like You with Elbi Cespedes is produced by Elbi and Christian Cespedes. Special thanks to Angelina Cespedes, Vincenzo Salvatore Cakes, and of course, Jess LeProtto.